Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Road to Brawl Cup SA. I am Peta, joined by amazing Duncan Brawl Stars, and today is our second day of some amazing esports action in the South America West region. How are you doing today, Duncan?
I'm doing fantastic. We had our first day of amazing South America West Brawl action. Unfortunately, a little bit cut short due to one of the teams not showing up, but we've got a full stacked lobby here today, guys. All three teams are here, so we are ready with 6 full matches to determine which team is going to be our champion coming out of Group B and qualifying to the Road to Brawl Cup finals. I'm super excited to see how it goes. We have 3 teams, each playing each other twice. So we should be able to see who the best team in this group is, who deserves that chance to get that Brawl Cup ticket, Panda. I'm fired up about it.
Yeah, indeed. And only, I believe, 4 teams can make it to the Road to Brawl Cup, which is going to be a 4-team double elimination. So it really is very important to see which team does come out on top. And today we have Group B, which has a star-studded cast of players. We have Zurita Gang, Dropeados, and Black X Duncan.
Yeah, absolutely. One team that people might be a little bit more familiar with, Zurita Gang, has had some members who have qualified to World Finals in the past. We've also got Dropeados and Black X trying to make a name for themselves in this region. So even though we have a couple new characters entering onto the scene, we've got some familiarity with these rosters here compared to yesterday. So I'm excited to see some familiar faces from this region, try to prove that they have what it takes to make it to the Brawl Cup.
I know, it is going to be a very hard journey because on Zurita's Gang, we have some impressive players, people who've made it to past World Finals and people who have made it to international LAN events time and time again. We have JXCR from Chile, Brian, who is also from Chile as well, and Jofave from Peru. So JXCR and Brian, very well known in this scene, so it's not surprising to see them here trying to take their chance in this path to the Brawl Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case you guys are unaware with the format for this tournament, we did have 3 qualifiers giving us 12 qualified teams. They've been split into 4 groups of 3 teams. So we saw yesterday our Group A. We had Un Sueño and Completo taking the crown for that. So they will be our Group A team representing in the finals that you see at the end here. Today we will be determining which team from Group B is going to be advancing into the finals to join Un Sueño and Completo. And then obviously the next 2 days we will have 2 more teams joining in that final bracket. So we should get a very good look at all of these teams playing against all these other teams. And I think it's definitely a good format to see which team is the most deserving winner from this region.
For sure. I mean, this is why we'd like to do round robin style group stages, because it really showcases how teams perform against all of their other rivals, and then you get the best of the best who make it to the next round. It's not a game based off of luck, because you have to beat them again. It can't be just done one time over. But the prize pool here is interesting. We talked about this yesterday, where the second place team actually earns some more money than the first place team, but the first place team actually gets to the Brawl Cup, which is more important and more sought after as an organization and as a team. Participating in international LAN is definitely the way to go, and Brawl Cup is where you want to do this. The second place gets 2,500, fourth place gets 1,000, and the third place gets 1,500. I'm sorry about, I kind of flubbed the order because I was confused by the presentation.
Hey, no worries at all. I'm sure that all of our viewers at home understand what's at stake here. So with the top team from each group qualifying to that 4-team finals, basically by winning your group, you've secured yourself at least $1,000. So definitely a lot to play for, whether or not you get that Brawl Cup ticket. But let's be honest, Panda, these teams are here to try to qualify for the Brawl Cup. No better way to get your team and your org on the map than by doing so. So lots to play for from the org's perspective, lots to play for from the player's perspective, whether monetary or for the fame and for glory, as El Primo might say.
And El Primo, right? I like the fact that this is also a reference to your El Primo cosplay. This man did an El Primo cosplay, and you can see his washboard abs. He has an 8-pack there, and he's flexing on us. And you should definitely follow Duncan for more of his cosplay content. But I have to talk about what we have seen in yesterday. Yesterday, we had Un Sueño and Completo destroying their opposing team, and then in the second game they got completely taken out, and we were pretty sure about the results of how the competition was going to go after the first one, but in the second one it really showcased that you can't really rest on your laurels, and anything can happen in esports. So while we do have Zurita's Gang, which is the overwhelming favorite in this group, I wouldn't put it past either Black X or Dropeados to, get the Dropeados on them here.
Well said, Panda. No, absolutely. Yesterday we saw a 3-0 sweep in our first set, and then we saw a little bit of a foot taken off of the gas pedal situation. Even though they did still, Ewan Sueño and Completo did still secure that spot in the top 4. Definitely was not as clean as I'm sure they would have liked to see. So for a team like Zaruta's gang, I'm sure they were watching closely. They know that they've got to continue to apply that pressure. Obviously, in a 3-team group rather than a 2-team group, there's going to be that much more pressure. They've got 2 teams coming for their necks right here for that Brawl Cup spot, and they got to make sure that they don't let up any pressure because somebody could catch them lacking, like you said.
Yeah, it is very important for them to do so. Well, the first match for today, I believe, is Dropeados versus Black X. And with Dropeados, we haven't talked about this team. It is comprising of Viadote from Peru, and I'm sure I've butchered the name, Chio from Argentina, and Benya from Chile. And who do we have on Black X?
On Black X, we have Santix left from Argentina, Royo from Argentina, and Lucas BQ as well from Argentina. So a full Argentinian roster, but we've got our first map and our first draft underway right here, guys. We're going to be starting it off on Safe Zone. We have 4 global bans, 2 from each team. It looks like both teams did opt to go with the Spike. So the Spike, Pierce, and Globert are going to be our global bans. Our map-specific bans include Colt, Chuck, Pierce, Miko, RT, and Bell. And then that first pick is going to come out as an Angelo here. Very safe ranged option that can play a little bit of offense and a little bit of defense, man.
I like this wow. I like this Angelo pick. It is really nice for the reasons that you mentioned, but it's also a really safe pick, right? And once you get the anti-heal down on the map like this, it is definitely going to be a little bit of an annoyance. You can't be as aggressive as you want. You have to, respect that from time to time. But this doesn't really showcase anything in terms of what Black X has in terms of their strategy going forward.
Yep, and we're going to see that Otis coming down. Even without the Chuck and the Miko, I do still think it is a pretty decent call to get a defensive brawler on your roster. Otis and Cordelius are 2 of the more popular defenses. Amber kind of filling in that role as like a hybrid defense as well. So I feel like they are taking that Otis, expecting Black X to go with an aggro brawler later on in the draft. Whether that's Melody, whether that's Kaze, whether that's Daryl, or I suppose Lily could have been another one of those picks, but that's going to be snatched up right here. So they've got their defense and they've got their offense. I feel like a pretty well-balanced approach to the draft so far from Dropeados.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, right now, it's up to Black X to figure out how they want to go about doing this, because Lily, with her gadget, is going to be able to get onto the safe and, get those damage shots in. And right now, they have a guaranteed spot in terms of how they want to go to the safe. But Black X don't have that right now. So it is in their objective to get something for the objective.
Absolutely. They're going to need something like that, but they're going to continue to go with that middle of the map type of occupying brawler. They have the Penny, who has become very popular on this map recently. I know we can't see the exact layout of the map right now, but there is that big row of unbreakable walls that if you get that Penny turret behind, it can be incredibly frustrating to try to take that out. So if you get positioning, if you get the setup with the Penny, she can be a super impactful brawler. The hard part is getting that positioning in the setup. So if she's able to get into the mix, could be hard to counter out, but in the beginning of the game, not going to be quite as strong, especially when you got a brawler like an 8-bit who kind of has the same story there.
This has a lot of firepower coming from Black X. Yes, the Penny might be a little bit difficult, but the 8-bit is gonna be able to beam down opponents. Obviously, you have to keep your distance. I feel like Brock might be a pretty decent idea, but the thing is, you're already facing all these long to mid-range brawlers, and you don't really have anything for sustain. I feel like Dropeados either have to completely buckle down in their composition, which is go all out, or they have to go for something which can hold them in, and they decide to go for Barry.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent shout. I wouldn't have hated the Brock idea either, but I do think you were right. They have to go with the all-out damage or the all-out defense. They're opting for the former. They have the Lily and the Barry, who both absolutely shred that safe. The game that Black X wants to play with this comp is where they hold mid-control and are able to get like concise team pushes to get like 1-2 cracks on the safe at a time. The other hand, Dropeados is going to be going for more intermittent damage, kind of getting it in wherever they can with the Barry dashes, with the Lily gadgets. So it's going to be a game of control versus aggro. I'm curious who's got the comp here.
We're going to go into game number 1 of the second day in the Road to Brawl Cup SA West. Dropeados versus Black X is the matchup on the docket, and we go into game number 1.
Yep, we've got game number one. The Barry and the Otis are going to be occupying the middle right here, but Chino is already trying to get a little bit of supercharge out here. The beginning of that game for the Lily is really all focused on charging that super as fast as possible, which Chino is going to be able to secure. And I do see a penny turret being wasted over on the right-hand side of the map too, so not the ideal start for Black X. Chino's got position. He's going to be able to get a good amount of damage onto the safe. They got to really focus on keeping this Barry back right now.
Indeed, they got the kill onto both the Angelo and lots of people falling down all around. At least they got the defensive effort off, but their shield has cracked down already. So this is not a great start for Black X. Darpados, on the other hand, are going to be pretty happy with this.
Yeah, Black X is going to have to hold this defensive line, but the Lily is just going to keep on that constant pressure with the use of her supers, with the use of her gadgets, which she's already got back in hand. We see Santi's trying to hold it down with this 8-bit turret over here on the corner, but one singular shot from the Barry is going to be enough to eliminate any turret in the game. We do see the first vestige here coming out for Black X, so they've got a little bit of positioning with the 8-bit hyper turret. It's going to be enough to get a safe crack, but that Lily super is going to be a little bit detrimental. Still, the game looking very favorable for Dropeados. They just need one or two more real push.
Indeed, a big hypercharge as well is just going to keep a little bit of pressure for Black X, and I think that's definitely a welcome part for them. But the thing is, with buried out on the map, you're not going to get as much value with those type of projectiles as you'd want. Big super coming in, but they are able to dispatch the entirety of Dropeados. So great spot coming in from Black X, and another member falling. So great stuff.
Yeah, Dropeados really was putting their entire bet on that push working out, and it ended up getting completely melted by 8-bit. Chino's going to be trying to keep that pressure up, and now the Barry dash in might be enough to finally get that 25% safe crack. A much tighter game than it was at the beginning, but still Dropeados have control. They have the lead, and it's going to be on Black X to try to get 25% damage to tie this up here.
That was a very nice hypercharge from Chino. Got the kill onto the Angelo, who was also running a hypercharge. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work out, but Chino is hammering it out on the save. 654 HP left, but that is all she wrote. Game number one going the way of Dropeados.
I can definitely see this going better for Black X if they're able to get set up a little bit earlier, but as we saw, it took them a very significant portion of that game to get the 8-bit turret online in a position where it can actually get that damage. We do see that Barry pick for Dropeados is coming in super clutch for dealing with the penny turrets. Like I said, that wall is a great spot for a penny turret, but if you've got a thrower to be able to defend it, it's not going to be able to get quite the same value.
Yeah, you're completely right. We're going to go to game number two and see if Black X have a little bit more concerted, better start, but they aren't having a better start. Angelo already going down, which is not good. Chino is on the back right, and that is going to give a lot of annoyance for Black X because they have to figure out how to address both the Lily and what is in front of them. But they get the kill on a Benya, which is huge, and Chino is still going to get some damage on the safe here.
Yeah, he's going to get some damage, and he's going to be able to charge up that super by having those enemies in his proximity. God. So while Santi's trying his hardest right here, it's just they're still not able to 1v3 the Lily, and now we have Barry and Otis with a good amount of positioning. So maybe even a little bit of a worse start, but the Barry hypercharge waste is going to be the saving grace for Black X on the defensive end here.
It was a little too intentional with what the Barry wanted. It was very obvious that that was what was going to happen, and they dispatched him right away. As a result, that was not the best play, and Gino's still very much alive somehow, and the man is just getting damage after damage on the safe and completely being unaddressed for large swathes of time.
Yeah, this is why the middle control strategy in Heist has kind of been phased out in the recent portions of the game. It's just the consistent pressure that Dropeados is able to provide. They're just never giving Black X a chance to catch their breath right here. That's going to be 50% off the safe already with Chino in position, with Messi in position as well. That's going to be even more damage pouring through here, and that's likely going to be the 25%, if not even less than that after the Barry goes in.
Oh my god, Chino was able to use a hypercharge, get 2 kills, and get some damage on the safe, crack everything. My god, this man is possessed.
He's playing absolutely out of his mind right now, but now Benj is just trying to hold a little bit of a defensive line. He knows it's not really on him to get this last safe crack going in here. Chino's popping that gadget. He's going to try to go over to the right side to get positioning. The Otis mute on the Angelo is not going to be enough to get a kill, so, I mean, Black X is still holding their ground right now. The penny turret's going to be going down, and at this point, Chino might just wait for one more gadget to try to end it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Leo Messi is doing all that much. I mean, he's trying as very, but it seems like most of the plays that I've seen from him have not been working out. Though here, he should be able to get the kill on Asanti. That being said, Dropeados are still in the lead here by a massive amount. Gino, a big onslaught on the safe. I feel like he single-handedly on the offensive won it for Dropeados. What a man.
I completely agree with that. And I saw at least 2 supers that he kind of just sent to Narnia, sent to the moon, like didn't even go anywhere near anybody. So if he's wasting supers and still able to dominate the game like that, definitely looking good for Dropeados. I wasn't the biggest fan of the comp coming out from Black X. Like I said, I think the heist control strategy is a little bit outdated. So maybe they'll revise their draft strategy going into set number 2, but that was definitely a good start for the Dropeados.
Indeed. And first set was heist. The second set, I believe, is going to be knockout. So we did talk about the maps. It's like what Gold Arm Gulch, Bells Rock, and the other one, which everybody uses.
Gold Arm Gulch, Bells Rock, out in the open.
Out in the open. That's the one. Oh, we got a match stat. So that is pretty interesting. What do you see, Duncan?
What do I see? What do I see? I mean, Chino was definitely the player that I had my eyes glued to most of the game, running that Lily right there. He did have 10 deaths, but that's kind of par for the course when you're playing one of those heist dive brawlers. You're not really too worried about the KD, although we don't have safe damage included in our stats here. I have to imagine Chino's number for that would definitely justify the KD ratio. Looking at the other team, not really too much to report on. We had a lot of damage coming out from all players, but that's because they were on their defensive foot the entire time. They had to get that damage, and there wasn't a whole lot of damage to go around to the safe after all was said and done.
Sorry, I was just setting a message production. Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of stats here, and it does seem like on paper, Dropeados don't have the best stats across the board, but like you mentioned, the objective was what was met with Dropeados. They had to get safe damage, and they kept on doing that repeatedly, time and time again. We saw some times where Black X regained control and tried to, make something happen, but it felt like a lot of the time Dropeados were unraveling the enemy team's position, and then Black X was just falling apart under the pressure.
Yep, with the comp that they had, they needed everything to go right at the same time, and we just never really saw that. But we're moving into draft number 2 on Knockout. We've got Bells Rock for the map. Our bans are in. We have Brock being banned by both teams, Dropeados getting Mortis and Leon out, while Black X opting for the Gus and the Rico. Their first pick will be an Angelo for the second draft in a row. Clearly big fans of that brawler, but I do fear that there might be some better options available.
I'm still trying to wrestle my head around with what is going on. We have Gray coming out for Dropeados. I like this Gray pick because you can use the teleporter, obviously, but the walking cane is still very much a great tool to get those kills in. And when you use the Gray tech along with the teleport in conjunction, you are able to pull your opponent way, way further than they expected. So,
yeah, I'm definitely going to have my eyes peeled for the Gray long pole. One of my favorite plays to watch in competitive Brawl Stars or just in normal Brawl Stars. I guess if you're able to hit those Gray long poles, doesn't matter. But we're going to have an Ems coming out as their second pick. Very intriguing in my opinion. I do not really see Knockout as being one of Ems's better game modes. Obviously, she does not have too much range compared to a lot of the other brawlers that are popular in Bounty and in Knockout. She's one of the better tank counters in the game, but obviously no tank to be seen on the comp of Black X yet, and I'm a little bit left scratching my head with that Ems.
That Ems is, I mean, on a map such as this one, Ems is still a good brawler, but I don't think the overwhelmingness of the buffies is gonna help it out in this situation. So I don't agree with this Ems pick at all. The tick does come out. I like the tick one a lot because obviously when you go down those sites, you don't really have a means to dodge those mines, and it can get sticky. RT's coming out from Black X. I love the RT, especially in those dying seconds of maybe the second round or the third round. You might have the RT hypercharge coming in, so that's definitely good. Another reason why is that de-incentivizes assassin picks or anything that can jump in your face, because RT can obviously dispatch those opponents quite easily.
Yeah, certainly. I have to imagine Dropeados were expecting a more aggressive comp coming out from Black X, but now that they've got the Ems, there's no reason to play into their hand. The tick RT strategy, I'm a big fan of. Wow. You get somebody marked up, and then the tick mine does that much more damage, but that Frank last pick is going to be threatening. They do have the RT to be able to deal with it. Once he gets him marked up, it can definitely help his teammates provide a little bit more assistance there. But we've got two very different philosophies. Again, Black X going with a very ranged draft, while Dropeados were expecting a little bit more of a close-ranged affair. So, I mean, we got to keep our eyes on the Frank. Any early deaths are going to be detrimental for Dropeados. But I'm not a huge fan of their draft. I'm not sure. I just don't think that they're going to be able to hang with the range.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to parity, and if the teams are as equally matched as we assume they might be, I don't think this composition really is good for Dropeados. I feel like Black X have a lot more going for them. They have the mark, they have the anti-heal, they have the fact that they have so much explosive power with that tick. So let's see how this plays out as we go into our second set.
Yep, we have Benja already trying to push up very aggressively on the left-hand side using that Ems. The one thing to watch for the early game is going to be Leo Messi with those Frank pulls. We did just see him miss his initially, but Chino is going to be there to connect with the Walking Cane. That Angelo is in a very difficult position right now, and they're just using that HP that they have to completely run them down right here. The tick pick seems like it's going to be good until the game actually starts, and then they just don't really have the damage to be able to stop all this aggression from Dropeados. That was a surprising first round.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I feel like if it is up to skill parity, then I feel like Black X comp does do better. But the massive HP pool of Frank is something that you have to be concerned about. And I feel like Black X aren't able to really deal with that. They have to play almost perfectly right now because it's a very easy comp for Dropeados to run if they are right about doing this.
Yep, and they're going to see Leo just using all of that HP on the Frank just to take up that space. They've basically just dropped an undodgeable super, and they're going to end this game before RT even has a chance to start thinking about that hypercharge. That was very impressively played from Dropeados. I feel like Black X has to work a little bit better together as a team. They need that RT marking up that Frank if they're going to be able to stop him from just taking that free positioning like we saw in game one.
Yeah, indeed. It feels like, Frank is like a shepherd, just ushering all the sheep here together and pushing them backwards and corralling them in a position where they get pressured and they don't have anything that they can do. Big pressure coming in with that gadget. There is a super, though, from Santi, but now this is where Tino is going to be helping out his teammate to take it out. And once again, the Frank, after he heals up, is going to go for that onslaught. On the right-hand side, though, there are some problems, and the kill is confirmed on Lucas, and it is from bad to worse for Black X.
Seems like Messi is just doing his best to avoid the RT and let his teammates deal with that. So far, so good. He's going to connect the pole, and that's going to be another decisive victory from Dropeados. Whether or not we like their comp, it is clearly working out very well. It just seems like there's not enough damage from Black X to be able to deal with this at all. It has me questioning the Angelo first pick again a little bit. I feel like, although he's a very versatile and solid brawler, you really have to play perfectly to pull it off in this meta. And as we're seeing right now, there's just too much HP, too much pressure for them to deal with.
Yeah, indeed. I feel like one of the compositions here is more for the classical meta, and the other one is abusing the meta, right? And I feel like Dropeados are getting the benefit of that interaction here. Big super coming in, and that's exactly why you want to run Gray. Oh, there is a double pull, but they managed to pull absolutely nothing, get no value out of that interaction at all. Heartbreak for Dropeados there.
Yeah, nice pull by Chino indeed, but not going to be able to walk away with too much. Either way, that teleporter on the field is going to be big for the end game, allowing Leo Messi to be able to use it, but that's going to be a nice kill onto Benja, catching him lacking with the RT right there. Still not over by any means of the word, especially a 2v3 with a Frank can feel like a 3v3 with all the HP he brings to the table. So still anybody's game, but definitely a good start for Black X.
Yeah, and once again, the Frank is just pressuring them. It doesn't even matter what the rest of them do. Just the Frank moving up is just crazy. And now you see them dismantling and dissecting the Dropeados side. Sorry, the Black X side.
Wow.
Complete wipe. Insane second set coming in from Dropeados.
Frank is just such a cheesy brawler, man. There's nobody that's as big as him, and I mean, he's just got too much HP to be able to deal with at the end of the day, even with RT, who on paper should be countering tanks. If he's not able to get that matchup correct and not able to farm that hypercharge off of him, it's just, they really never had a chance to get going right there. They had to play perfectly as a team, and we just saw Dropeados coordinated their pushes a little bit better. So definitely, even with the suspicious draft, a very well-deserved team win for Dropeados here.
Yeah, beautiful stuff coming in from them. Like, they knew exactly how to play their composition. I wouldn't say that their composition was a hard composition to play by any means. It doesn't have the most skill, but it definitely has the most executive reason why you want to take it. And what I liked about their composition is that they used the health pool of Frank, and him being the sponge, he's soaked up a lot of the damage. They were able to push back their the other team, and then like surgeons, they were dissecting them one by one, just completely like taking out one organ at a time. And I'm sorry I'm being a little graphic and macabre, but that's what I felt. That's how they played it.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I feel like their strategy was to wrap up the game basically before there was a chance for Black X to stack up some supers, to stack up some hypers, and that's exactly what they did. We saw Leo Messi manning that Frank. He was not really worried about getting hit. His main goal was to push them to that back wall as quick as possible, and that is what he did each and every round pretty much. So they wanted to make sure it was a quick round. They secured a couple of quick rounds, and even when it did get dragged out, they just still did not have enough damage to deal with the Frank. So that's just one of the very many reasons that he is going to be getting nerfed tomorrow. Definitely can't wait for that day to come. But for now, Frank is still OP. You might as well use him.
Yeah, I mean, this team is kind of lucky that, the balance changes didn't happen yesterday. We were informed, in fact, that the update was going to be pushed back a day later. So, kudos to them. It's like getting one last lick in before Frank and Ems are out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm definitely ready for those two brawlers to take a little bit of a backseat in the meta, but for now, they're here. They're here to stay for at least another day, so got to make sure that you take that into account with your drafts, and it seems like Drope Autos was definitely well aware of that decision.
We're going to be moving on to set number 3. This is a best of 5, best of 3 situation, so 2 sets have already gone the way of Drope Autos, so Black X, kind of on the ropes right now. If they lose this one, then it's definitely really, really bad for them because like we mentioned, only one team moves on from the group stage. So if you don't get the best result, it's not helping you out, and they've already conceded 2 sets, so it's really, really difficult for them right now. So they have to win the next 3 without even dropping in order to have a pretty decent chance at making it.
Yeah, these set scores, like you said, are going to be super important. We've got 3 teams playing each other twice today, so there could hypothetically be a little bit of a 2-win, 2-loss situation for each team, in which case it would go down to the set score. So getting swept is definitely not a good look. Sweeping is absolutely a very good look. So we're going to see these teams, even if it's already 2-0, like every set matters just so much. So they're going to continue to scrap. Winning 3-0 is just a fantastic start there for Drope Autos. They're definitely going to be trying to lock this in and secure a spot.
Yeah, I mean, the third set, I believe, is going to be Hot Zone. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this one pans out. There are lots of different maps that a lot. We have Dueling Beetles, we have Open Zone, and the other one. I keep forgetting the third one. My mind is not the best.
I suppose it could be Parallel Plays. I'm not sure if that's in the competitive rotation, but
I hate that map, by the way.
I do hate that map as well. Anybody who watches my ranked videos is definitely well aware of how I feel about Parallel Plays, but just thinking about some Ring of Fire, that's more like it. Regardless though, thinking about some brawlers that are going to be prevalent in this current Hot Zone meta, obviously like Frank, M, Spike, some of those Buffy brawlers still going to be extremely strong, but some more niche picks. Finks is definitely one that can occupy that mid and pretty much hold it down, completely dominating it, synergizes well with a lot of brawlers, counters a lot of brawlers. Lou is going to be another one of those mid options who is definitely going to be a force. You get that ice rink covering the zone for about 10 seconds, and if you're able to cycle that out, it can definitely be very useful. Pam, another one of those beefier mids that kind of thrives in Hot Zone, so I'm looking forward to seeing some of those more unique picks rather than just the Buffies here.
Indeed, and one of the Buffy brawlers, or 2 of the Buffy brawlers, are already out. Drope Autos this time opting to remove Frank and Ems from the situation. Also taken out. Great. Okay, interesting. On the other side, we have a ban on the Shelly along with the Kenji and a Mortis ban. First pick from Black X going to be the Meeple, and it is open business.
Yeah, I like the Meeple pick. I do feel like he can get overwhelmed by HP. He can get overwhelmed by spawners. So definitely looking for a brawler like Charlie or Colonel Ruffs that have those spiders / sandbags to be able to tank some of those Meeple projectiles. I do not think Finks or Lou have a bad matchup into the Meeple, so still think that those 2 could be in the mix here. Also, something I just noticed, Drope Autos, they just banned out the last comp they ran, right? They were Frank, Ems, and Gray last time. Am I wrong about that? They took that comp and they said, all right, we've exhausted this. Nobody else can touch these brawlers, as they add the Mina into the mix, kind of trying to overwhelm that Meeple with a little bit of aggression.
Oh yeah, Mina is still like a really good brawler, at least for another day. So, they're trying to get their last, the last hurrah with some of these brawlers here. I think the Mina pick, obviously, it is really, really strong. And some of these people know how to exactly run it. And I guess, it's also ping dependent brawlers. So the lower ping you have, the better it is.
Yeah, I think also Mina's going to be fine, bro. She just got the gadget nerfed a little bit. So Mina fans out there, don't fret too much. I think she'll still be okay. But they are going to bring the Ruffs into the mix. Not to say I told you guys so, but I figured they might want to go with a little bit of a spawner capability brawler. They're going to have those sandbags available that very hard counter the Meeple. So big fan of the Ruffs pick. Also, Mina has a broken hypercharge, and Ruffs has the ability to give a teammate a broken hypercharge. So I really love that synergy from Drope Autos.
You have the wall break if you want, or you have the passive heal, you have the sandbags, and you have the trunk coming out on the other side. So yeah, you have those sandbags, but the trunk is going to be able to address those. Maybe they're playing a little bit of rock, paper, scissors. Trunk also has a lot of HPta's name, so to their name rather, because they're colony of ants in a log. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this Trunk pick. Trunk has become one of my favorite brawlers to counter out like other tanks. I guess like Mina, I'm calling a tank in this situation. I know she's a damage dealer, guys, but Trunk has a fantastic matchup there. The force field that the Mina has to offer does nothing into a Trunk. Colonel Ruffs, although he will feed off the Trunk, it's gonna be very difficult for him to kill that Trunk. He does have the wall break capabilities, but now we're seeing even more HP being added onto the side of Black X. They've got a tank, they've got a healer, and I'm really liking what they're bringing out here.
Yeah, I feel like Meepo has a lot of lethality, especially behind something like a tanky brawler, which can soak up the damage, which Meepo obviously can't. And when you compound this with Poco and you have all these heals, I feel like Black X has a pretty good fundamental thesis to their idea here for the composition. And Meg is going to be coming out for Dropeados. They get a lot more bulk as a result of this Meg pick, a little bit of firepower, but I don't like this composition as much as I like the Black X one, though.
I think I probably do agree with you. I can see the map forming later on in the game to work out a little bit better for Dropeados. If they're able to get some of these wall breaks, that's going to make the Poco Trunk combination a little bit less useful. It's going to render the Meeple super useless, and it's just going to give more room for the Meg to operate. So definitely be on the lookout for how early the Ruffs is able to get the wall breaks and which walls he's going to be breaking.
Yeah, if I was Black X, I would be on alert and try not to give Ruffs the value that they're looking for. But unfortunately for them, Leo Messi apparently is on Dropeados, so he's running the Ruffs. And, you know, Leo Messi won World Cup, so...
That's very accurate, but we're into the game now. We see the Mansions of Meeple coming out here, but Venja is going to be able to stay inside of that zone. So already a pretty decent start. He's taken out of the mech by Trunk, and that is going to be the first wall break coming through. Leo Messi opting to break his own side of the map first, which I believe is probably the correct decision here. For whatever reason, we're leaving Trunk available one shot in the corner right there, but all the zone control has been on the side of Dropeados as we've gotten into the beginning of this game.
Yeah, I feel like once you get one of those wall breaks, it just makes it that much harder. Despite the Mansions of Meeple coming down, it's still not down long enough to ensure that they can retain control of the zone. Then a hypercharge going in, Benya trying to take the kill onto Santi, not able to do so, but they still have so much more control, and it's so impressive from Dropeados.
Yeah, I would have expected the beginning of this game to go better for Black X, but we've seen Meeple get very limited value so far. We see he has to play a super so far behind now because of the wall breaks coming in from Leo Messi on the Ruffs right here. We do see a little bit of zone control finally going in Black X's favor. That's going to be a really good kill from the Trunk as well, and they should be able to get a full squad wipe and finally set up some control in the zone.
You know, it always strikes me as funny whenever a Poco is being as aggressive, because whenever Poco is being aggressive, you know you're dead. You basically know you're dead, and that's what happened there. That being said, it is a very contested game right now. Mansions of Meeple coming down in the middle, and that's going to hold back Benya a little bit, but not too much hypercharge from Benya. It does miss it. Super coming in from the Trunk, and gets kill on Benya there, and finds another one on the Messi with his teammate.
Yeah, Law is playing a masterful Trunk game so far. He has definitely been the main source of pressure for his team, and that's allowed them to drag this game back. But we see the Mina hypercharge hits all three members. He got 5 hits on 3 people with that Mina hyper, and here comes another free one from the Ruffs. So that's just that combination of the Ruffs and Mina being so good right there. Law was able to stall that push a little bit, but we have another Mina hyper coming out of spawn. It's all going to come down to this.
Mina has a hypercharge. She uses her hypercharge already, uses that shield as well, but it doesn't matter. Black X, with that one play from Law, he is absolutely out of control right now. They need to contain the aggression that is Law.
Yeah, he pretty much put the team on his back right there. Everything was looking bad. They got the wall breaks that they wanted for the side of Dropeados, and Law said, you know what? Not on my watch. We are Trunk. We are winning this. And he just absolutely dominated the second portion of that game. So we're going to have to see what they have, Dropeados have to address that. But I'm definitely going to be having my eyes glued to Law in the beginning of this game now, man.
Oh, wow, that was a big kill coming in on a Poco, and also Messi goes down on Lucas, which is unfortunate. Law still being a big menace, but unfortunately he goes down now. Lucas puts down the super there, and that is going to give them a little bit more pressure along with the help of Santi, but Chino tries to get a little bit more pressure, not able to do so, gets taken out by Poco. Shields coming in as well, and Benya, a little bit pressure on the middle, but not able to get too much, all things considered.
Yeah, pretty decent start for Dropeados, but not going to be able to get quite the lead that they got last game. It does look like Lucas is going to get hawked over here. Law was stuck in the Meeple box, but now he is out, and he's getting 3v1, so not likely that he's going to be able to do too much. Indeed, he is taken out as the Dropeados lead increases. We do have a Meeple hyper on the ground. Going to help take back a little bit of positioning, but if Benya stays back, then they should all be able to survive this.
There goes Law. He gets a shield as well. Oh, no, he almost gets taken out.
Ooh.
Oh, he does finally get taken out. Law gets...
Some absolutely electric plays coming in from Law right here, man. He is a man on a mission on this Trunk, and he's coming back with a hypercharge in the pocket. He's got his 2 targets picked out. He's got one of them, and he's likely going to be able to get the other one too. That's going to be a ton of pressure for the side of Black X right here. Chino does have his hyper, but he's very weak. He's going to likely save that for the respawn. But Law is just giving no breaks to Dropeados right now. Absolutely ridiculous on that Trunk, bro. He's keeping up so much pressure.
Manches people coming down, and that's going to allow Lucas to get a little bit more control on the mid here. 91 to 60. They aren't being pressured at all. There was a hypercharge from Lumina. It doesn't matter. Lucas is completely beside himself with happiness from winning that one.
That was a insane comeback right there. The Trunk gameplay was just textbook right there, man. I love talking about Trunk. He's one of my favorite brawlers to watch and to play right now, but this is why, man. You can take over a game like that. He's pretty much like a Daryl roll with a Jackie attack. Absolute menace right there. He was able to burst through those low HP brawlers so incredibly well and just keep up so much pressure, allowing Black X to win with a comp that I wasn't particularly fond of. It really was all Trunk.
Yeah, and just look at the stats over there. The Trunk got a lot of deaths, but he also got a lot of damage, and I feel like the stats actually don't actually show the value that Trunk brought to the team here. On the other side, you see so much of damage coming in from the Roughs here, and it's 67,000 damage, and he provided so many of those treats to his teammates, but it didn't matter. Despite the walls coming down, it was the consistent onslaught from Rolo and the heals from Santi, which pushed back Dropeados consistently time and time again. We saw one play, I think in the first game, which is very impressive from Chino. He ran in with the hypercharge. He pulled in 3 members of Black X. We had the hypercharge from Benya, who used his whack from the Meg on all 3 members, and Rolo still survived and managed to keep control of the mid for another 10 to 15 seconds. That is crazy. This man needs to be star player. I feel like he was the MVP of that set for me.
I would have to agree. I would have to second that right there. I feel like the main difference that we saw in this game was just the HP difference on the side of Black X. We saw in our knockout set the HP diff on the side of Dropeados, allowing them to win that game. And then this time in Hot Zone, just the HP was just too much to take. They had a little bit too much pressure, a little bit too much to be able to kick off the zone. So Black X are going to be dragging this one back. Like we said, every set is incredibly important. So even if Dropeados wins this next set, Black X is still going to benefit significantly from taking that Hot Zone.
Yeah, that was a very interesting set because, like, I felt like in theory, the rough comp should have won because, like, once you break down the walls, it is a little bit easier to run that composition. And then obviously once the walls are down, it's difficult for Trunk to really get in there. But I like the fact that the Trunk played it very well. Whenever he got the super, he just went in and he tried to farm the super before getting out and dying, and also started to stay alive as much as possible to be a distraction. So I gotta say, fundamentals wise, the Trunk played flawlessly.
Yeah, completely agreed. The cycle was the name of the game. Like you said, rolling in and then getting that super before dying so you can roll in again on the next life. Just super impactful for cycling that time on the Hot Zone. Obviously, having the Poco doesn't hurt with that overcharged shield with the hyper, with the heals from the gadgets and the supers. But we've got our 4th set pulled up here, guys. Gem Grab, Double Swoosh is going to be the map. Our bans are going to be Ems, Charlie, Mina, Janet, Crow, and Otis. And once again, Meeple's going to be the first pick of the draft on Dropeado's side this time.
I gotta say, I like the fact that they are using those animations from the inside the game to show the brawler doing stuff in the pick phase. That's a really nice touch. I have to, I just noticed it right now, so that's really cool. Meeple coming out as a first pick. I like the Meeple first pick here. I don't think it's really revealing what your intentions are. You have a lot of different ideas that you can go with the Meeple. It's a really nice one.
Yeah, I definitely am a big fan of it, but at the same time, he doesn't have the greatest scouting capabilities. He doesn't have the greatest vision. Although you don't have to aim your shot and it can kind of auto home, there are other brawlers like Otis, Crow, Gene, I think, that have a little bit better vision scouting, and that is a very important aspect of this map. You definitely want to make sure that you know where the opponents are at all times. Another brawler on this map that I think is very strong specifically on this grassy map is going to be Allie the Alligator. I think that she's got a great matchup into the Meeple, so I think that could be a pretty solid pickup for Black X to pair up with the Sandy pick.
Indeed, I like the Sandy pick. The root sands are definitely going to help you find out where people are. They're going to pair it with the Frank, and obviously Frank can't really scout out a bunch, but with this HP, I don't think it really matters, really. So yeah. I like this pick from Black X. I don't think you can go wrong with Frank in the current meta. But I want to see what Dropeados have in store here, because not only do they have to address the Frank, but if you have something that can, enhance and augment the Frank, then that's another big problem that you have to think about. And we're gonna have Mortis coming out, and it's going to be the last hurrah of Mortis. Apparently, with the new balance changes, the gadget doesn't work behind walls.
That is very true. That is very true. And then the Creature of the Night gadget will no longer be charging super, so he's going to take a hit to both of his gadgets. He's still a very strong brawler right now and probably will continue to be. I like him into the Frank. The mobility he has to offer makes it really hard for Frank to consistently line up shots, much less the stun. So I think it's a pretty solid shot from Dropeados. I'm a little surprised that they're going with a Mortis when they could have went with the Alley, but I guess just the additional damage that Mortis has is going to make him a bit better off into the Frank. They're going to get another brawler who has a good matchup into Frank with the Mouse right here. He's got that knockback with his super, and he can kind of overwhelm Frank with some quick burst damage.
I like the ideas that Dropeados have, but I want to see how Black X is going to crystallize their idea with their composition. They have a pretty decent way of scouting out where people are in both of their options here, and Terra's coming out here, so you have a lot of turnaround potential. Terra is not gonna have the problem of the grass disappearing really, unless Frank destroys the wall, so you can control that. So I feel like Terra has a lot more viability here, along with the fact that if you run the shadow gadget, then Meeple is not going to have as much of a presence in the map.
Absolutely. I could see both Tara gadgets being pretty useful here, so definitely looking to see which one he's going to run with. Obviously, with the amount of bushes, the Vision gadget is going to get a little bit extra value compared to some maps, but something I'm noticing from both of these comps, there's a lot of reset ability here, which is kind of the name of the game for Gem Grab. We have Mo Hyper that can reset, Mortis Hyper can reset, Tara Supers, especially when paired up with Sandy, can definitely get some good resets, but we're into the game now. That Mansions of Meeple is going to go down to break up a little bit of the grass. Leo is going to dash out of that box, and he's actually going to be able to get his first super and first kill already. Really good start for Dropeados.
Ooh, big kill coming in from Messi on to Santi, and that is massive for Dropeados. Just control after control, and once you're out of the grass, it's really hard. Even if you have the Frank, you're not going to be able to have that much value, though. There is a kill on a Messi, and now with the Root Sands, there is going to be a little bit of a pushback, but I feel like the Mansions of Meeple kind of counter out the Root Sands a little bit.
I do agree with that, but either way, Root Sands is going to be just massive for getting a little bit of control back. That's going to be a nice Tara pull, though, and the gems are going to be changing hands in the bottom left corner. Not going to be able to get out, but forcing the Mortis to pick up 3 gems.
That was good.
Definitely not what Dropeados wants, because now Leo has to be a lot more careful about when and where he chooses to go in. We can see him already being a little bit more cautious than he would have been if he didn't have any gems on his head.
Yeah, right now his job is not only the gem collection, but trying to get as much value from the hypercharge. He goes in with his purple one, finds one. This man is crazy. The gravity for hypercharge of Terra completely wasted. Dropeados have the drop on Black X with all the gems on them.
Is that Leo Messi, the Brawl Stars player, or Leo Messi, the football legend? Because that was an insanely agile play to be able to get away with that comeback right there. He's got 10 on his head, and now is the part of the game where you don't mind having the gems as a Mortis, because you've got a little bit more HP, you've got all that mobility, and he's going to be able to comfortably dash away with that Game 1 victory. Really well played.
Yeah, and it is now match point for Dropeados. They just need one more win, and it is crazy how well they're playing here right now. I think that there are some concepts of what the other team Black X can do, but I feel like Dropeados are playing this a little bit more clean, and I like how patient Messi is, because as a Mortis, when you have the purple button, you can go in, obviously, but you need to be a little bit more opportune with how you're doing it, so he wasn't wasting it.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to look out for Black X to get a little bit of a better start here if they're going to want to win this. With a map like this, the initial positioning is massively important. We see Santi almost connecting that Frank pull right there, but regardless, it's going to be Messi charging up his bats. He's going to be able to freely get that kill, and already the gem advantage is heavily on the side of Dropeados, as they are one singular game away from taking our first match.
Indeed, and Messi just chaining those bats over and over again, trying to get as much value as possible. Now he's going in once more, is able to get a little bit more value with his scooper. Oh no, I think he used the hypercharge there. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not the ideal play right there, but Santi's got good positioning over here on this left-hand side. Once again, missing his pull, but he's got his super ready to go, which can be very impactful for breaking up the map, but we see Messi is just on a tear right now. The Tara is almost going to get boxed, but the stun is there from Santi. That's going to be the 5 gems that Dropeados had going back into the hands, but the Mo Hyper is there. That's going to be enough to secure that, and then we got, once again, a countdown for Dropeados. This is all they need to secure this.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. I think Benya should be able to get a kill on Lucas, and that is huge. But there is a gravity on the other side from Law, which they have to be careful about. And unfortunately for them, Law is not going to be able to get that. He gets taken out. Huge super coming in. He's able to get nothing here because of the gadget from Leo Messi. And just like that, Dropeados are able to clean this one up in a 3-0 scoreline.
3-1, I believe, but either way, very, very well played by Dropeados. They definitely looked like the better team out there, and that last set was kind of just a little bit of what we saw the entire day. They looked absolutely dominant. They had the draft, they had the plays, and realistically, that Mortis gameplay from Leo Messi was just fantastic. So got to give credit where it's due. Whether or not Mortis is still going to be at the top of the meta after tomorrow's balance changes, he's still up there right now, and this is why you got to either ban or pick him, because he is a menace in the right hands.
Yeah, it was beautifully played from Dropeados. I really like the fact that they were confident with the way they played. I didn't feel like there were moments where they felt too pressured or anything like that. So it's definitely a good showing for them. But it's still maybe not the result that they wanted, because you want to win 3-0, right? Because you're going to go up against Zarita's guy. But right now, 3-1, and we have to look at the stats from the set, Duncan.
Yeah, I believe Didote is the Leo Messi Mortis right there. We had 5 kills, only 2 deaths with all of that damage healing, all of those supers. I mean, the Mortis was definitely the player I had my eyes glued to. He played fantastically well, just bullying that Frank. Oh my goodness. I guess this is the entire match stats now. But either way, he was using the Frank's HP against him, just farming some of those free hits off of him, cycling those supers. It's not the easiest thing to get a Mortis hypercharge in that short of a game, and he consistently got them in both sets, in both games on double swoosh. So really well played to the Mortis. That constant pressure was the game changer for me.
Indeed, and I believe that the API's match stats is a new feature, so there are still growing pains. I feel like a lot of people who are developing this understand this, so that's why you sometimes get different stats. And it, you know, I'm trying to explain what's happening, because I'm also developing a solution which does this for myself, so I've understood this. But that being said, just the amount of damage which we see from Didori God was kind of crazy. And again, the automation is a little bit, you know, out of funk. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good, but that was our first match of the day, guys. And we are going to be moving into our second match very shortly here, which will be Zarita Gang versus Dropeados. So coming off the skirt of that epic victory from Dropeados, they have got their work cut out for them with the favorite from this group. So it's in a couple of minutes here, we're going to be seeing if they are in their flow state right now, if they are playing the best of their abilities, or if it was maybe just a little bit of a skill diff and Zarita Gang is going to pack them up. So we will find out very shortly, Panda.
Zarita Gang versus Dropeados. I feel like Dropeados, you know, they have this win here. They have the momentum, and that's something that they need to work towards, because it's not going to be an easy game. It's definitely not going to be an easy game. And I mean, I might be a little bit biased because I've seen JXCR and Brian before, and I know them and I know how good they are. So maybe my biases show a little bit, but you know, the thing is about competitive, anything can happen. A group of rookies can come together and win monthly finals, and that's what we saw in Team Electros in North America. We saw Guesty in his first introduction in the BSC winning monthly finals in EMEA. So like I said, you can't just go with the old guard. You have to also remember that at some point the old guard was also the new guard, right?
It's very true. Something else to keep in mind is that obviously Zarita's got to watch the initial game between Dropeados and Black X, so they might have a little bit of an idea of what type of bans they want to go with now after watching their opponents just play right before this. So obviously, if I were them, I'd be a little bit fearful of that Mortis, especially from Leo Messi right there. So whether or not they can use that to their advantage on the side of Zarita Gang, obviously Dropeados can kind of use that too, saying, well, we've showed you guys these comps, but have you seen these other comps that we've been working on? Try to catch them sleeping right there. It's a lot of rock, paper, scissors as far as draft goes, and I'm excited to see what strategies these two teams bring out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I feel like Duncan, like your understanding of how draft works is very, very in tune and in line. I would like to see more content on around how to draft and what a brawler pick means for the downflow picks, right? Like what, for example, you mentioned specifically that say a Meeple is there, so then the obvious answer is to pick something which has similar range and like a lot of spawners or something like that to counter it out. That makes sense to us because, you know, we've played the game a lot, but to people who don't know how to play the game, it would make a lot of sense for them to understand intuitively why we say the things that we do. And I feel like that's something that you can really bring. So I don't know why I'm talking about this here, but it's just a random thought. And if you guys want more like ranked content or ranked adjacent content, please watch Duncan every day. this is also on Duncan's channel, so I'm just giving him a shout out on his own channel, which is dumb. But yeah, watch Duncan.
No, I appreciate it regardless. Yeah, man. I mean, the best way to get better at drafting is to go through your own drafts and to watch other people's drafts. So I like trying to provide as much insight into that to either both help myself get better at drafting and to help my viewers get better at drafting. So like Panda said, if you guys want that ranked content, I got more than enough of that on my channel. I appreciate anybody who wants to check it out. But regardless of that, guys, we'll continue to analyze these drafts as best as we can. I might know a little bit about draft, but I guarantee that these pro players know more than me, guys. So we'll try to learn as much as we can from them.
Yeah, I mean, again, the example that I set at that point in time wasn't the best example, I have to be honest, but I'm just saying that was basically what I thought. Anyway, back to the esports stuff. We've seen Dropeados against Black X. Now we have to see Zarita's gang versus Dropeados. And this is a very important match, obviously, right? Dropeados already got their first win. If they get this one, that means they automatically move on to the Road to Brawl Cup's playoff stage, which is the double elimination bracket. So this is a very important match for them to win. But conversely, it's as equally important for Zarita's gang. Black X now reached the point where they're kind of like deciders, I guess, for who is going to be the king. But that only really depends on whether Zarita's gangs win 3-1 against Dropeados or not. So there are lots of different small, little, minute storylines to think about while we go into this match.
Yep, the main thing to keep your eyes out for is that Dropeados control their own destiny after winning that first game. So like you said, if they're able to beat Zarita Gang, then that is going to be them claiming that Group B ticket into our Final Four. But you know what? We can talk about it as much as we want. How about we let the teams play it out? We've got our first map of the day, Hot Zone Open Business. Our global bans for Zarita Gang are Mortis and Spike. Global bans for Dropeados are Pierce and Ems. Map-specific bans are going to be Finks, Crow, Meeple, Poco, and Shelly.
Yeah, and just a reminder, we're on open business. It's in the middle of your screen, but sometimes you do forget. Gray is going to be coming out as the first pick for Dropeados. And I like this Gray pick here. You get those poles, you get those teleports in, along with the fact that you get those wall breaks as well. So you have a lot of different versatile options that you could go for being the Gray on this map.
Yeah, the Gray pick first is very interesting. That is a very specific strategy that teams like to do with the Gray, where you pair it up with a tank, you try to get those hyper teleporters and that normal teleporter all lined up so that you can continually die, respawn, and get back into the zone. But going Gray first pick kind of gives away the game a little bit. So there's going to be a lot of tank counters coming out here, starting with one of the scariest ones being that Lou. He's going to be able to cycle those supers onto the zone directly where the TP goes into. So I feel like it's a really good pick from Zarita Gang. I'm worried Dropeados gave away the game a little bit too quickly.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of gave away the game in the bans itself, because they've removed a lot of the tank counters, which is basically, you know, the anti-heal, along with the fact that you have the slow and the Shelly, which is, you know, classically the best tank counter on paper from the original time. We got Mina coming out on the other side from Zarita Gang. So they have a really nice composition. You have the Lou, which is going to be insane for area denial, great against tanky oppositions. Mina, I don't think you can really go wrong with Mina at all here.
Yeah, Mina's a fantastic brawler still. I feel like a pro player manning the Mina too is just such a scary thing to look at. I try playing Mina. I can't make her look the way that these pros can, but once you get really good at those combos, she just has so much HP, so much pressure, so much damage. Another brawler who's almost even more mobile than the Mina is going to be that Stu coming out for Dropeados, and then as expected, they get their beefy brawler, the beefiest brawler, in fact, with the Frank to add to that Gray teleport strategy. So I don't mind this Stu trying to fill in some of the gaps right there. I feel like he's going to be a tough brawler for Mina to deal with, but overall, I feel like they showed their cards early and they went with pretty much that exact strategy. So now it's time to see if Zarita's got another counter.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the strategy that Dropeados wanted to go for was very apparent from the start itself, and they haven't veered at all from that. Ooh, there's an Ashe pick here. I actually don't know. Is Ashe good into the Frank right now?
It really depends. Frank, on a map with more walls, Frank can catch the Ashe through those walls, but once Ashe gets that speed up, once he gets that rage up, he is able to kind of outmaneuver the Frank a little bit. His rats are going to be good into the Gray and the Stu as well, so I feel like while he's not great into Frank, he does have good matchups across the board here. It's a high risk, high reward strategy. I'm not certain if it's what I would have went for, but I could see it working out for sure.
And we go into our first game between Zarita Gang and Dropeados. Dropeados already got a win earlier today. They are facing off against Zarita Gang, which is a very difficult opposition. Brian is going to be the cam in the middle. And as we go into our first game here.
Yep, we're going to have Joe Fab putting up that initial force field already, and that is going to be a quick kill for the Ashe as well over here on the top right-hand side of the map. Chino is going to be the next to fall, and Jaxer is already on a tear with this Ashe. Whether or not we think it's a great pick on paper, he is just playing it to a high level right now. That's going to be 2 kills for him and full control for his team, Zarita, in the middle of the map.
Indeed. And now we see Messi coming down, and can he find something? I feel like he's going to get super quite a lot, but again, against the Ashe is just going to get a lot of value around some of these sites and around some of these angles. So as long as the walls are up, I feel like Dropeados aren't going to get the better of Zarita Gang.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of wall breaks on the side of Dropeados, though. We have the Frank coming up here with Super. We saw Leo playing that last time, but he gets interrupted by Joe Favorite there. That is going to be a massive swing of events. Jaxer somehow still alive on this Ashe pick. He has just been terrorizing them with literally just his presence so far. He's still alive. That's going to be a Lu hypercharge going down. And even though they have the gray teleport set up, it might be too little too late at this point, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really looking good for them. I feel like JXCR has been operating at levels hitherto unseen and unknown before. It is crazy. Zarita's Gang taking that first one quite comfortably, I might add.
Yeah, we saw an elite Trunk performance in our first matchup of the day, and this is honestly more of the same. Another elite tank performance coming out right there from JXCR. That was insane work on the Ashe. We were debating whether or not it was a great pick into the Frank, and it just seemed like once he got his super rage charged up, it just did not matter. Nobody was going to take him out. His movement was too clean. His positioning was too good. We'll see if they have a better answer for it this time, but I'm definitely watching this Frank v Ashe in this first interaction.
Yeah, I feel like the composition Zarita's Gang understands is the fulcrum, the crux of the composition for Dropeados is the Frank. So if they are able to isolate the Frank, then they should be able to do quite well. But right now, with all these early wall breaks, it's going to be harder for the XDR to just straight walk up because the Frank is going to be contending, and then you're going to have help from the Gray as well.
This is a massively better start for Dropeados. Not only do they have the wall break, they have the Gray teleporter down in the first interaction of the game. So should Leo Messi die on that Frank, he's going to be able to get back into the zone very quickly. Brian's going to be trying to prevent any of that from happening with this snowstorm, though. And it's going to be a little bit of zone percentage going into the side of Zarita Gang. Even with that Gray teleporter, it seems like Dropeados is still going to have a hard time forcing it through. Full control and full zone time for Zarita right now.
Yeah, I don't really see something happening different for Dropeados. Brian also has a hypercharge. He can use it. He decides to go for it. Doesn't get a stun, though, but it doesn't matter. It gets evaporated in an instant.
Yeah, it's just too much damage. They need to get that Gray teleporter set up a little bit quicker. They got it set up quicker this time, and it just still seems like it didn't matter. At the end of the day, the comp was not there, and I guess we got to trust JXCR's Ashe from now on because we doubted him. I will never doubt him again. This man is the Ashe GOAT. That was a very impressive game from JXCR.
Oh, dude, he was crazy on it, man. He was, okay, I can't say what I was going to say, but I get canceled for it, but amazing stuff coming here from Zarita's Gang. Getting that 1-0 already against Dropeados, and in such a easy manner. They're just cool with it. I feel like they haven't even been impressed. There is no cortisol spike. There isn't no ASU frat leader here. It is just Zarita's Gang and JXCR.
Look at that damage stat coming in from JXCR. We have 105k, and if you just look at the damage that Dropeados has to offer, he pretty much got as much damage as their entire team right there, as well as more kills than their entire team. So, I mean, we see which player was the most impactful on the pitch in that match. Definitely a very solid Ashe performance from JXCR. 9 supers, 100k damage, 8 kills, only 2 deaths on a tank is absolutely diabolical.
It is crazy. And this 105 damage, I mean, that is, twice as much as the closest person from Dropeados. He was just going at it, just one after the other. Look at Benya. He was barely able to make a dent on the other side. 1-6. You have to feel bad for them.
I do feel a little bit bad for them. I'm not going to lie. I did not hate their draft, even though I did think it was a little bit too early to take the Gray. I thought that the strategy might have worked out, but the Lu and the Ashe were just there camping that teleporter. It was just, I feel like Zarita knew from that first pick of the draft what they had to do to counter the Gray teleport, and they did it very well. So I feel like the drafting is definitely in Zarita's favor so far. Only 1-0 so far, so definitely nothing we're not going to be calling it over quite yet, but we're going to have to see a little bit better from Dropeados with the draft next set.
Oh, for sure. And I believe the next set is going to be gem grabs. So we're going to have a little bit more cover. I feel like the maps also play a lot more differently because there's a lot more diversity. But I am interested in seeing what Zarita Gang bring to the table because they're a little bit spicy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little bit muy caliente, you know?
Can I request another Ash game? Is that allowed? I would like to
Yeah.
see another Ash game. I think that would be pretty fun. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what we got on some of these maps. Another brawler who is pretty popular in Gem Grab, but we haven't quite seen yet today is still the Ally the Alligator. I'll bring her up every single time until somebody takes her because we saw in South America monthly finals that was a pretty popular pick, and I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen it yet in this tournament. But with some of these grassier Gem Grab maps, she's got great reset ability. She's got so much mobility. I definitely could see her being a good pick, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing her maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be fun to see that happening. But like, how do you, as a team, contend against a team that has run through you in the first round? And I would say in a very, very easy, cool manner. I feel like there weren't really moments where Zarita Gang was out of it because, like, even when they went down, they were confident with how they had to come back. And in the second game we saw that the Dropeados got their teleport very early on, and
Yep.
in a situation with a composition such as that, it's pretty much understood that you're possibly going to win that. And despite that, the second game was an even bigger difference. So I have to say, like, Zarita Gang, really good. I wonder what Dropeados have to do. What do you think that they have to think about in order to get the mindset for the second game?
I would say from Dropeado's perspective, they probably want to chalk it up to a draft issue. I think that they are going to say, okay, well, we knew we wanted the gray teleport. We probably showed that too early, and they were able to counter it out because of that. Now they also know that the Ashe is going to be an issue, so maybe that's a brawler that they can try to pick a little bit better in the early game to prepare for later on in the draft. That's kind of how I would attack this situation from them. You don't want to just say, oh, they just outskilled us. They're just better than us. We're cooked no matter what we draft. The one thing you can always control is your draft. So you want to lock in on that. Try to outdraft the other team. Even if they have more skill, you can still beat a team with an outdraft for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like, we have seen some insane outdrafts, especially yesterday, and on paper it looks so good that we just called it right for the other team. But then it doesn't really. I mean, it matters to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, your rate of the game is going to be, if it's superior, you're definitely going to have a better chance of winning. I wouldn't say you would win, because we have seen even at World Finals where there are teams which are conventionally supposedly understood as the best mechanically in terms of the game sense, but draft has changed the nature of the game to the point where if you have a better draft, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win, and if you have a worse draft, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I feel like draft is in a pretty healthy space in Brawl Esports right now, where it's I don't really think you can say that draft or skill is massively more important than the other. I think there's a pretty solid parity between those two aspects of the game right now. The teams that have the best drafters and the best drafts consistently, they do well for sure, but they can still certainly lose to a team that is just super mechanically gifted. You really need both to be able to be at the top of the game in Brawl Esports nowadays.
I know it can't be one or the other. It is an entire discipline. You have to have all of the boxes checked. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to compete at that level. And this is why we have these tournaments, these small, not small, but we have third-party tournaments because we want to give other teams a chance to flex, right? And there are lots of teams which can't really compete in the BSC in this region properly because of the fact that they don't live close enough to the servers in South America East to be able to compete against the best of the best, which are mostly in Brazil, right? So this is the reason why we have this tournament here, because the servers are on the SA West side, and it gives people a better chance at being more competitive, and you get to see better peers from your region. So this is definitely going to help out SA West, and I feel like SA West is going to have a better showing when it comes to SA as a whole in the next year or the future years, if we have this format going forward. So I don't know why I'm rambling about this, but I just I like this.
No, I love the format too. I think it's amazing to give teams from less represented regions in the Brawl Stars community to give them a chance to shine. And I feel like the only way that you can kind of bring some of these regions into the future of Brawl esports is by giving them this opportunity to shine. So I'm hoping that with the inclusion of tournaments like the Road to Brawl Cup, SA West, we'll be seeing some other regions get a little bit more of a chance to be able to compete, because at LAN, the servers don't matter. The ping is no longer an issue, and we can really see who's the best of the best when all other factors are the same. But regardless, guys, we have got set number 2 coming up between Zarita Gang and Dropeados. It's going to be Gem Grab with Deathcap Trap. Panda, take us through the bans.
We got Lily, Gray, Pro, and from Dropeados, we got Rico, Ems, and Mina. The global bans being Mortis, Spike, Pierce, and the Ems here. So a lot of the annoying, oppressive brawlers in this map have been removed, with Janet coming out as the first pick. I like Janet because you have the drop the base gadget, which makes it easier for you to scout out where people are, push people back as well. You get the gems, you can jump out. I feel like Janet, though, has fallen off in the meta in terms of how people rate her, so you don't see her being picked up as much. So that might be a problem, where Zarita Gang going for a lot of sustain. So they go for Gus and they go for the roughs here. You have the wall breaks, you have the passive heal if you want for that, or you could give the treats to your teammates. And the Gus obviously is great for shielding up. So I like this idea from Zarita Gang. It still doesn't really showcase what they want, because the major player is going to be their last pick.
Yeah, I like the strategy for the long game here that Zarita Gang is bringing out. They're going to be able to break open their own side of the map to allow them to get less pinched into their own spawn, as well as getting their gem carrier, the Gus, a treat nice and early for a little bit of extra HP and damage. I feel like it's a pretty good synergy. What Janet lacks in damage and in range, she makes up for in mobility, so it's not a great matchup one-on-one into the Gus, but she's going to have that escapability, which I like. And pairing it up with a Frank for that pressure, I feel like it's a pretty solid combination. The Janet's not going to be required to get too far out of position, because the Frank can kind of soak up some of that attention for her.
Oh yeah, and Dropeout is going for the Poco. Obviously, if you have a Frank on the field, so you should expect, some kind of support for it. And we have Poco coming out, and I think that it's one of the best supports of all time, obviously. So I like this for Dropeados, but I don't necessarily agree, because I feel like Zarita Gang still have a way to counter out this composition with their last pick here.
Yep, and they're going to indeed counter out the Frank with that Shelly, likely with that fast forward dash gadget. So I do favor the comp of Zarita a little bit. I'm intrigued by the Poco when they already had a Janet to occupy the mid. I guess that they're just going to kind of send Poco and Frank as a two-man unit to try to do their own missions on the side of the map while Janet collects those gems. But I guess we'll see if that's the way that it ends up playing out. They're going to have a Shelly that is very keen to end that strategy.
I like this. The Slambulance side quest in a tournament. That is so funny. We're going to set number 2 between Zarita and Dropeados. Zarita took set number 1, but set number 2 is where we're going to see the marbles really fall. Literally, because it's Gem Grab.
Oh yeah, and here we go. We got Joe Fab manning that Shelly. He is going to be on a hunt for the Frank. He sees the Frank and he is immediately changing course. So he's going to be moving over there. The Roughs gadget is going to occupy a little bit of that area, so Leo can't push up quite as high as he would like to, but already we see Joe is in his face. That fast forward gadget is going to be a very quickly confirmed kill, and that's why they brought the Shelly out.
It was so good. Oh my god. This is classical Shelly from 2019 when gadgets first came out, or 2020 when gadgets first came out. Very nice to see. A lot of control coming in from Zarita's Gang. They've completely pushed back their opposition. Poco going down as well as Frank here. And I don't really see a way for Dropeados to come back here. I mean, Brian hasn't even given the treats to his teammates, so they're just doing this without really, holding true to the fundamentals of what they need to be doing.
Even with that hypercharged treat in hand, he's going to choose to just go for the wall break instead, knowing that they have the range advantage over the Janet, I believe is why he's going with that decision. The hypercharged shield onto Joe Fave is going to be an immediate kill right there. He picks up the treat as well, so I believe everybody except JXCR is treated up right now, which is funny enough because I thought he would have been the first one to get it. But regardless, that's going to be a quick 10 gems, a hypercharged treat for the Gus, and it's going to be a very hard task for Dropeados. That is going to do it, man.
Yes, and this is why Shelly is so good. The buffies actually have made her viable, and she's not oppressively broken as well compared to some of the other buffies. So I feel like Shelly is definitely what you need to do when you make a buffy. You hit the nail on the head, and that's exactly what happened. That being said, Zarita's Gang, beautiful stuff coming in. I like the way they were able to collaborate and get that dub in. Very, very clean work coming in from them. We're gonna go to game number 2, but there's a lot of work that Dropeados have to do to pick up that slack.
Yeah, that was a impressive performance from Zarita Gang. I mean, we saw Brian get pretty much every single wall break he wanted, and that game was not particularly long, so he was working at a fast pace, but this time, the initial interaction is going to go a lot better for Dropeados. They're able to kill Shelly, so Leo and Benja on their two-man mission still holding strong over here, but JoeFab's got super, so we'll see if he's going to break up his own side of the map right here as that Frank super comes in.
Ooh, right-hand side, JoeFave can actually go in. He has a super as well, but he's going to be holding on a little bit, just waiting for that Poco Gadget to get used up. Leo Messi goes down as well, and they really don't have any answer for JoeFave.
Nope, they do not. They do not. Now the entire map is open, so Janet's really going to have a very difficult time landing these shots right here. We see the hypercharge streak coming down. JoeFave's going to pop his hyper. He's going to get one. He might get two with the use of the gadget. And would you look at what's waiting back for him, too? Another free hypercharge if he doesn't mind it. I think that he's going to snag that up, and we are going to have a repeat of last game, more or less.
I think that is why Brian wasn't using the hypercharge. He's waiting for a situation where he can actually utilize it. Ooh, big try and effort. Oh my god, he might get it. He caught it. Oh, unfortunate for JoeFave. He was so close, but not able to get exactly what he wanted. But I feel like the gems are still okay with JoeFave here.
Yeah, that was the only win condition I could see for Dropeados, and they were almost able to escape with that Chino on the Janet. If he was able to pick up a couple more gems, this could be a very different game. But 8 gems being on the side of Zarita Gang with a 9th over there and a 10th up here, it's probably going to do it for us, especially if Shelly's got super. Now they just got to secure this countdown to bring the game into the bag.
Yeah, this is a read of the game of what they need to do, what they shouldn't do, rather, is basically what's getting them the win. It's not even about what they're doing right, it's about what they're not doing wrong. So beautiful stuff coming from Zarita Gang and Dropeados. They're trying. It's definitely apparent that they're trying, but it's just, you know, not possible. It feels like it's just a sunk cost for them.
Yeah, that was definitely, they had their work cut out for them just from the draft in and of itself, but I'm impressed that they were able to almost get away with some of the gems right there. They had a path to potentially steal a win right there, but regardless, the drafting, the technical gameplay of Zarita Gang is going to be enough to extend to a 2-0 set lead right here. Even though Dropeados won their first game, if Zarita Gang sweeps right here, that's going to be fantastic for their chances to qualify from this group. So a lot of stakes riding on this game number 3. Like we continue to stress, every single set is so important. So we can't see any team taking their foot off the gas yet.
Yeah, for sure. And then just to go back to that set there, yeah, if you look at the first set, wow. Anyway, if you looked at the first set, I have to mention that I like the fact that, you know, Dropeados were giving their all and trying out different strategies and ideas. But like in the second set, I mean, they still lost, right? But they lost in a way which was clinical from Zarita's Gang. They were like deconstructing the team like very clinically, one at a time, and like breaking them apart and destroying them as a result. But in the second set, all of that artistic ability went out the window. It was just about Shelly and shredding the opponents, and they were shredding, and it was like watching like a Dexter just like ripping apart through people. It was kind of disgusting.
It was insane. I mean, that map is known for having like a good amount of walls up there, and then like within 5 seconds of each round, the Shelly was breaking walls, the Ruffs was breaking walls. It was pretty much a completely open map, like within like 30 seconds of each and every game, which is not what Dropeados wanted with their Frank comp. So I feel like the ability of Zarita Gang to look at the draft, figure out what their strategy is, what their win condition is from the draft that they've been given, and then executing that to perfection has just been really impressive so far. I'm really liking what I see from Zarita Gang.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm very excited by Zarita's Gang because the gameplay is very, very clean. And it's also not just the gameplay, like they understand that sometimes that the other team might not be clued into what the strategy of Zarita's Gang is, and they're fine with it. Even if the other team veers off the strategy, usually what happens is that most teams respond in kind, right? So they never took their hand off the wheel. They were always on the steering wheel and deciding where the match was flowing. So I really like that from Zarita's Gang.
Yeah, I think that they've played incredibly well so far. The drafts, the strategy, the gameplay in and of itself, the mechanics. I mean, it's really hard to see a way that they fall apart here, but obviously each and every game presents us with a brand new draft with new opportunities for the other team to take advantage of. So we'll have to see if they start to think outside of the box with some of these drafts on the side of Dropeados. In the first game against Black X, they kind of were able to just go with their default drafts, be able to win it with the HP that the Frank has to offer, all that good stuff. But Zarita's is showing that they're going to have to try a new strategy to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of different heartbreaking moments for Dropeados. We saw them doing quite well in the second half of the second game off the second set. Wow. Anyway, yeah, that was what happened. There was a moment where they were able to get some kills. They were able to pick up some of the gems, but then they were a little bit overly egregious after the fact because I felt like it didn't work out in their favor. And this is what happens when you don't have as much experience. That if things don't work out according to the plan, then you're like, okay, fuck the plan. Forget the plan. Sorry. Forget the plan and let's just try to, figure out things as we go about doing this. And I feel like, this is where it happens with inexperience. As soon as you are given a little bit of pushback, you decide to change from your established strategy, and that throws you off course. And which is why the experience of Zarita Gang is so important, where if something doesn't go according to what they are planned, they are able to pivot according to the new plan without really playing into what the other team wants you to do.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, with that is something that comes with experience, making those mid-game adjustments from match 1 to match 2 to match 3 if necessary. There's a lot of different ways that you can play it, and you can have teammates switching up lane strategies, trying to target a specific brawler, trying to break a specific wall. Lots of different ways that you can try doing this, and I'm not certain which of these teams have like coaches or analysts, but that's another aspect of the game that can definitely flow into it too. If you have somebody in your corner kind of sitting on that computer trying to analyze which way that you can attack this differently from a perspective outside of the players themselves, it can definitely be useful. So I feel like that might be another advantage that Zarita has. Not exactly certain if they have a coach in the room with them, but that is something to look out for.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, as you go higher in esports, you start getting a big staff around you. You get like a wellness coach, you get a regular coach, you get a manager, you get an analyst. So you get a lot of different people who can present you data which can inform your decisions, because initially you inform your decisions based off what you perceive, but you're not always the most objective, which is why you have these professionals. We're gonna go into our draft. It's gonna be Super Beach between Dropeados, Zarita Gang. First pick from Dropeados is going to be the Willow. And what do you think about the bans here, Donkey?
I like the Frank ban. I feel like they know that that's been Dropeado's bread and butter. Even though they banned it out as well, I still think that makes sense. We see a lot of these aggro options with the Mina and the Kenji as well, and the Shade, so they really don't want to get ran down by any type of short range, any type of broken hypercharge brawlers. I feel like the Willow is a very safe first pick on a map with as many walls as this, but there's still a lot of wall breakers open that could cause a little bit of issues, but we're going to see them opting for the speed angle instead with the Max.
I apologize for that. Max coming out from Zarita's Gang. I really like this. There's a lot of speed coming in. I like this in conjunction with a Hank as well. And this is just beautiful stuff of it for Zarita's Gang. They know what they have. They have a lot of the walls. I like the max speed, along with the fact that they are going to be able to address a lot of ideas from Dropeados because of the wealth of HP that Hank has. And when the bubble pops as well, you have to be very careful that you don't really overly aggress here.
Yeah, I like the Hank pick too. If you're going to go with an aggro into a Willow, you want to make sure that you have a way to deal with her without getting in the range of her Hex. Willow's not able to shoot that Hex around walls necessarily, so the Hank can be one of the better, beefier options to deal with her. You might have to eat some of those main attacks, but Hank's got enough HP to where it's not that big of a deal, so big fan of that pick. And I'm also a big fan of this Mo pick coming out for Dropeados, one of the tank counters who is the best for scoring goals in Brawl Ball, and he's got a pretty good matchup into the Hank, where he can kind of charge up that hypercharge and make game-winning plays with that. So we've got two brawlers that are both capable of scoring goals in their own unique ways on Dropeado's side.
Mo coming out along with the Rico on the other side. I like this Rico because you have a lot of angles, but I feel like Rico is kind of fallen off in the meta, and there aren't many situations where you want to go for the Rico. And I like this alley pick a lot. Oh, I don't think it's gonna go well for Dropeados considering the competition they're facing in Duncan.
Yeah, the alley pick, I've been waiting for it. I didn't think it would be on Super Beach Brawl Ball. I was low-key expecting it more on like Double Swoosh or a map like that. But regardless, I'm a fan of these matchups. The Rico doesn't really have much she can do about it. The Willow does not really have much she can do about it until she gets that Hex, which Allie's probably going to be on her very quickly into this game. So not a lot of HP coming out from Dropeados. That's what the alley pick is here to address. And we're seeing two very different strategies. Is it going to be the smaller range, or the more ranged, less beefy comp, or is it going to be the speedster with the Hank?
I don't know, but this might be the last set. Zarita Gang up 2-0. David versus Goliath on your screen right now. Ball being passed up with Joe Fave, but right now JXCR, ooh, he pops Benya out of existence. Another kill coming on to Leo Messi, and the last one to fall is Chino. Very well played by Dropeados. Sorry, by Zarita Gang. Within 70 seconds, the score goal is crazy.
That was just a ridiculous amount of pressure, but the Willow Hex is active. Oh my goodness. Okay, well played by Joe Fave to get back just to cause a little bit of a distraction. Otherwise, Brian might have been forced to self-score right there, but regardless, Zarita Gang's going to hold on to their lead for a bit longer. Brian's just going to be working on trying to get this speed to give to JXCR, but so far, we're kind of in a little bit of a stalemate. We see Joe Fave trying to break it up, and Chino is probably going to die trying to stop that push.
Big hyperdrives coming in from Leo Messi. Joe Fave goes down, but so does Benya on the other side. And it's up to Rico to hold the line, but I don't really think it's possible considering the situation. He is trying despite that. They're waiting for Joe Fave to come back before the onslaught begins, and JXCR does go for the onslaught. No, there is, in fact, a Hex, which stymies the situation. Super coming in from Chino. Gets a kill on a JXCR, though, despite that.
Ooh. That could have been dangerous. Joe Fave was one tick away from getting that shot off, but now it's just Chino with a little bit of an angle. Not sure if JXCR is going to be back in time, but indeed he is, and that's going to be Zarita Gang trying to hold the defensive line once again. But Joe Fave just has so much speed and mobility, able to get out of the spawn and get a kill almost immediately, just trying to keep this pressure up. He knows he's going to die, but he was able to get a lot of pressure in that time, and now JXCR is, he's actually going to be able to survive that. Big break for Zarita.
Indeed. Now Benya has a super, and that is going to be a little bit of a problem for the side of Zarita's Gang. And he tries to use the super, not able to do so. Has to use his gadget to get out of the situation. Joe Fave with an onslaught. Hypercharge coming in from Chino. Gets a kill on Brian. Ball hasn't cleared. Chino going for the super kick in. He's able to score and equalize at 35 seconds on the clock.
Chino overshot his super a little bit, but it didn't end up biting him. I think JXCR got a little bit distracted right there and left that angle open. You can score from pretty far away on this map, but all the pressure is here for Zarita's off the reset. They do have the Willow Hex available, opting not to use it. That might cost them. At the end of the day, the Rico super was there, but JXCR is able to find the 1 inch of space to slot that ball into the goal. Really well played with that shot at the end right there.
I have to say, I'm very impressed with the side of Dropeados, because they conceded, but then they were able to get back, and that play from the Mo was insane for them to be able to equalize. And we're gonna go to game number 2. I have a lot more belief in Dropeados now.
Yeah, that was definitely impressive stuff right there. Joe Fave is going to be applying that pressure again. Does not go quite as well for him as it did in game number 1, though. JXCR and Brian forced to hold it down in a 2v3 for the time being. A lot of their focus here is going to be on not feeding Chino and not feeding Benya, because those are the 2 supers that can get them scored on. But Joe Fave clears up some room, even through the Rico super. Going to find a little bit of room for that goal. And it just seems like they have too much pressure to contend with.
Yeah, it's already match point as well. Gadget being popped by Joe Fave already. He's trying to go in for the onslaught. There's a super coming in from Messi, but he gets taken out. Unfortunate for him. Ooh, there is finally another Hex. The ball being passed over to Tino. No, Tino not able to kill the kill on O'Brien. Had they managed to coalesce, that would have been a very cool goal.
That could have been their hope that they were looking for, but now we have Brian and JXCR moving up with speed. Benya's going to die after he pops out of that Willow gadget. The Rico Hyper is not going to do too much, and I believe it's not going to be able to defend at all. That is going to be a quick, decisive victory for Zarita Gang. They are going to beat Dropeados 3-0 in straight sets.
Oh my god, that was a very beautiful play of Brawl Stars that I've seen. I gotta say, Zarita's Gang won this, but I like the fact that we had a lot of say coming in from Dropeados. They tried their best, but now it is not up to them. It is up to Black X to see if Zarita's Gang actually make it to the Road to Brawl Cup in the qualifier, in the knockout stages or not.
Yeah, that's definitely the type of start that Dropeados, I mean, they got their first win over Black X, but they met their match pretty quickly right there. Even if they got that 3-1 victory, the 0-3 against Zaritas is going to be tough to come back from, but they'll get their chance later today for revenge. Next up, we're going to be moving into Zarita Gang versus Black X, though. Obviously, we have one team coming off of an impeccable high, the other team coming off of a pretty low right there. So we've got 2 different vibes, and I'm very curious to see if Black X is going to be able to try to pull out some type of strategy to be able to hang with Zarita, who seems to be the best team in this group by a pretty good margin.
Oh yeah, it was definitely the case, because when we saw Dropeados versus Black X, it really felt like Dropeados were the definitive faves there, and there felt like there was a marked difference. It felt like there was a chasm of difference, actually. But now we have Zarita, which basically made Dropeados seem the same way that Black X seemed to Dropeados. This is a weird thing, right? But I don't know. I feel like Zarita Gang is definitely the overwhelming favorites. If they get this win against Black X, they're basically through. They just need to get like at least one set win, and they're basically through.
Yeah, I definitely would not want to be in anybody outside of Zarita Gang's shoes for this portion of the tournament, but things are definitely looking good for them so far. They played extremely well. They drafted extremely well. Their strategy in game seemed to be extremely good. So definitely a tough team to go up against. Looking very scary so far as we're through our first 2 games of the day. And now, like we said, we have our team who lost already versus our team who is 1-0. So got to be tough for Black X. I'm sure that they've got their work cut out for them. Can't be feeling the best about this.
Yeah, and we're going to take a small break of about 5 minutes while we wait for the teams to ready up and get into the lobbies and whatnot. And we'll keep you informed about everything once we get back. I believe the next match is going to be Black X versus Zarita Gang. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
All right, guys, we are back and we are through our first 2 games of our 6 games that we have for day 2 of the Road to Brawl Cup for South America West. Again, guys, thank you so much for tapping into the stream today. We've got 4 amazing games coming up for you still in our Group B action right here. We have 3 Group B teams. Our first matchup of the day was between Dropeados and Black X. We had Dropeados winning that one 3-1. Our second game between Dropeados and Zarita Gang, Zarita took that 3-0. And now we've got the last matchup between these unique teams. We have Black X versus Zarita Gang. So Zarita Gang's off to a very good start. Black X not so much, but they've got a chance to make up for it right here in this game. We still got each team has to play each other one more time for today, so definitely can't write anybody off quite yet. But so far, things look great for Zarita Gang, not so much for Black X. Panda, what do you think they have to do to try to bring this one back into their grasp? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would probably agree with that. It's definitely going to be also Panda.
Oh,
People
sorry.
are saying you're
I'm muted.
muted. um,
Okay.
no worries, guys. Panda spit some
Duncan,
amazing knowledge.
yeah, Duncan can attest. Like I've been spitting facts, you know?
Straight
Yeah.
facts right there. But what he was saying is that basically you want to bring out some of these more off-meta drafts. So if you have some of those drafts in your back pocket that are a little bit more like less common, I guess, a little bit harder to counter out. But the thing with draft is that you can only take one brawler at a time. So you aren't really able to go with like a blind strategy and just completely pull out a comp that's never been seen before. They're going to get a hunch for what type of setup you're going with your draft. So as much as you might want to try to catch people lacking, you do still have to stay onto the meta a little bit. So Black X is going to have their work cut out for them that much more because of that fact.
Oh yeah, for 100% sure there. And I believe that if we look at the sets here, and I'm sorry about this, man. I went for a break. I thought, okay, I need to make sure that I don't disturb people when I come back. And I was like, oh, okay, let me just not turn on my mic. Let me not just unmute my mic. Anyway, like I say, Black X versus Hurricane Scan. The first set is going to be on Bounty. Then we have Ice, Knockout, Hot Zone, and Gem Grab. So we have Bounty first, and I believe the maps are Shooting Star. And as always, because I'm an unk, I forget.
well, luckily for you, it was Shooting Star, Pan. You nailed it right on the head right there. But
Yep.
We've got our global bans for today. Black X is going to get Kaze and Mina out of the way. Zarita Gang opting for Mortis and Spike. Our map-specific bans, Jean, Bell, Byron, RT, and Tick. And unsurprisingly, the Pierce is going to be that first pick. I'm quite surprised to see Pierce make it through the ban stage. He is easily the best sniper in the game, potentially the best brawler in the game right now.
I do like how Pierce is right now. He's going to be even scarier tomorrow once he gets his hypercharge. So we don't have to contend with that right now. First pick, though, with this Pierce on Shooting Star, you can't really go wrong with that. We have Charlie coming out on the other side. I like this pick from Zarita Gang. Charlie is really good at keeping people at bay, and obviously the spiders are also a big problem, especially with Pierce having a limited amount of ammo, and then you have to wait for him to get his ammo back. So I like this Charlie pick here. It does de-incentivize, or not de-incentivize, but it does stymie the oppression that Pierce can bring to the table.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that they went with two really good options into the Pierce, all things considered. Angelo with either gadget can contest the Pierce. If he needs to jump away from a shot, he can. Or if he rocks with the Pierce gadget, he can try to pierce the Pierce through a wall, which is a little bit harder to say now that I'm actually putting it into words. But regardless of that, the Jae-Young is going to be the pick for Black X. I am a fan of this because of the Pierce for the spiders. So Jae-Young can try to target the Charlie, take away some of the Spider's utility so that the Pierce is able to thrive in the matchups that are better for him. Also getting a little bit of speed and an advantage getting that blue star certainly doesn't hurt the Jay.
Mandy coming out, and I believe that somebody's just picked up your favorite brawler.
Let's go!
We are going to be biased against for Black X, right? We're against Zarita Gang right now. So Zarita Gang is in the mud. We are Black X squad right now.
I am very pleasantly surprised to see Mandy, my favorite brawler, not a super competitively viable one, but this is her map, and this is the chance to bring her out. So I'm a big fan. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that Jay and Mandy do struggle into aggro. I know we have no Kaze, Mina, or Mortis available, but there still might be another aggressive pick that could end up kind of boosting this into Zarita Gang's favor. But luckily for Black X, the Pierce is going to be decent to those aggros, so maybe they have that accounted for already.
I like this pick here, and we have Piper, the most classical idea of a sniper in any kind of video game. I like this Piper pick, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure coming out from Black X, especially with that Jae-Young. That being said, I feel like Zarita Gang, with what we've seen so far, have it in their wheelhouse to dismantle this competition. We're going to go into game number 1 off this set here.
Yep, and we're going to see, as expected, the Jae-Young speed is going to allow them to grab that blue star. So Black X with an initial lead right here. And it's all going to be, my eyes are going to be peeled on Lucas right here because he is going to have to try to hold back this positioning while not really being able to move and shoot at the same time. So he's definitely got a tough role right here. Santi already falling quite weak as well. And the positioning is just all on the side of Zarita Gang. Even though they haven't landed that many shots, they still have full control.
Lucas being pushed back, which is a little bit unfortunate for his team. They do have the blue star, but they're going to be pressured, especially in the last half of the game here.
Yeah, and we see that Angelo is going to be very fantastic for holding that mid control, but the mid control doesn't really matter when you're not winning the game. So They're going to try to push up as much as they can without feeding the Mandy. Those Mandy supers are going to be what to watch. And the super is out, and Lucas is able to land it. You love to see some Mandy success. A fantastic shot from Lucas right there. Santi's going to be taking heavy pressure, but somehow able to survive and switch into that heal mode to juice his teammates up. He is next to fall, and the lead stays on Black X for a second, but Brian's going to be there for the tap. It's going to be 4 stars on Zarita Gang side to 3 for Black X.
Ooh, nice opportune moment to get that super to jump out of harm's way for Brian there. But Zarita Gang have complete control. They have the blue star as well, and they don't really need to push up right now. It's the job of Black X to do so, but Zarita Gang are not letting out in their onside, going one after the other. Lucas is the next to fall.
Joe Fav is absolutely tapping on this Angelo on the right-hand side here. The one thing to look out for, I believe Lucas is one shot away from his super. He does have his super now, and he's going to die to the poison if Santi doesn't help him out. So he's in a tough spot. Santi decides to abandon his teammate here in favor of some more pressure. All things considered, down 10 stars, not the worst call, but they've got a lot of work to make up here. Santi's going to be trying to lead the charge with 5 seconds left on the board. It is not looking great, though. They just don't really have any pressure. The Pierce pool not going to connect, and that's going to be the final straw. Zarita game picking up right where they left off and taking game number 1.
Beautiful stuff from Zarita Gang. Really, it seemed like, you know, Black X had their number, especially at the start, but then things started getting from bad to worse. And as pressure ramps up, you know, as you have more experience, then it doesn't really affect you as much. So beautiful stuff from Zarita's Gang. But I have to see what Black X can bring, because they had some signs that things were going right at the start.
Yeah, I think as we switch perspective here, I believe the issue for Black X, in my opinion, is that the Mandy has to hit every shot to hold her lane. If she misses a singular shot, it's going to be very hard to hold that position. We saw them get pushed into their spawn almost immediately last game. So my eyes are going to be on Lucas once again to see if he can charge up that hyper and maybe get a game-winning play. But so far, things are looking pretty decent for Zarita Gang as they have 2 stars and that lead.
The perspective is swapped, so we'll just get on that right now, so don't get a little confused here. But anyway, Brian and Joe Fave right in the mid and on the right hand side trying to hold control. There's that super from Joe Fave, and now if he connects the shot, he might be able to get those poison shots in, but it doesn't really matter. Zarita Gang already have control and have the lead.
Yep, and Joe Fave is going to have to fall back a little bit, so this is the best positioning that we've seen for Black X in quite some time. Santi, once again, trying to clear out some room for his team with that speed that the Jaeyong has to offer, so he's doing a good job so far. He's not getting hit by Brian too often, but it's just not really easy to confirm kills on Jaeyong, and we've seen that be a problem repeatedly throughout this game. Zarita Gang has just had a little bit more power with those finishing blows.
Yeah, really difficult spot to be in if you are a Black X, but this is good control, I guess, from Black X here as they try to pressure Zarita again. There's that super on Pierce, which is what you have to keep track of, because as you get pressure, you get pushed into points where you're clumped up together, and that's where you get so much of value from that Pierce super.
Yep, the Pierce super is what I got my eyes on here. He's going to get 1 connection on the JXCR, but with 18 seconds left, the Mandy super is going to miss, and that is going to be a tough blow for Black X. They've got a little bit of time to try to make something happen, but they need a kill, and they need it now. 8 seconds left. The Jaeyong damage gadget is popped, but Lucas is one shot. He's probably not going to be able to do too much here. They need a kill, and it is not going to happen. Lucas is going to fall instead, and that is going to be game 2. Going to Zarita Gang, they take another set quite decisively.
Indeed, that is a pretty nice set coming in from Zarita Gang. They were pressured a little bit, and there were moments where I felt like Black X could have got the drop on them, and they kind of foiled it in the situations where there's a lot of pressure. So Zarita Gang very well played in this set here as well.
Yeah, I feel like the draft from Black X was a little bit all over the place. I mean, you have the Mandy, who is pretty much going to be standing still, trying to charge up those supers and get those kills from all the way across the map, whereas you pair that with a Jaeyong, who is going to be a lot more mobile and gives his teammates speed, but if you're Mandy, you really don't need that speed to stand still and shoot, so a little bit of a lack of synergy, definitely coming to bite them in the butt in that last game, but overall, they definitely held their ground pretty well for a majority of the game. I don't think that they're out of this yet, but it's hard to go against Zarita Gang with the way that they've looked so far today.
Indeed, we're going to have our match stats here, and pretty nice number coming in from Brian for the damage here. But I gotta say, like, across the board, I feel like this match stats don't even matter, because we can see in terms of just the gameplay alone how oppressive Zarita Gang are.
Yeah, and the main thing I'm looking at here is the kills stats for Black X. They got 1 kill in the entire game, and it was in the hands of a Mandy Super from across the map. So I'm not gonna say it's like a lucky kill or anything. Mandy Supers are very skillful to hit, and nobody can convince me otherwise. But yeah, I mean, they didn't really get a whole lot of kills from their positioning alone. They kind of just got their one overpowered super to get that kill. Everything else went into the hands of Zarita Gang. They had most of the control. They had most of the kills, and they had most of the success in that game. And they have yet to drop a set in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, crazy stuff coming in from Zarita's game. I mean, it was not crazy. It's kind of expected, I guess, in a certain way. We're going to go into Heist, which is going to be our second set. And I want to see if the domination that Zarita's gang is bringing to the table is still going to be set in stone, or are we going to see a little bit of a momentum shift for Black X?
Yeah, as we kind of talked about yesterday, Brawl Ball and Heist are those two game modes where I think some of the micro plays go out of the window a little bit. You can kind of just go full rundown strategy. So for a team that might not have the draft advantage, like in Black X's situation here, they might be able to pull out a comp that can just go with the base race. So they should be able to potentially bring out a little bit more of a unique draft that's a little bit harder to counter in the way that Zarita Gang wants to play. Regardless of that, though, Zarita has drafted extremely well in every game mode that we've seen so far. So we're going to have to see how it goes, but this could be a fun one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just looking forward to seeing how this one does play out. I mean, Zarita Gang just kind of crazy with it, with how they're drafting and also their compositions and whatnot. So it is definitely going to be an important one for them, because I feel like already I think that they have won enough sets to make it. But I feel like if they win another one, then it more or less confirms it. So
we won't even get too wrapped up in the weeds of that, but yeah, they're definitely looking really good so far. I'm intrigued getting into Heist here. I feel like this is a game mode that has more often than not recently been defined by those dive type of brawlers. You see a lot of the bans and a lot of the first picks in games like for some of these Heist maps. You have like Chuck, who is kind of a must ban or a must pick. You have Kaze kind of filling a similar role, along with Melody, along with Daryl, along with Lily. So a lot of these dive brawlers are going to be very useful for going in and trying to get a crack all by yourself onto that safe. So curious which ones are going to be banned out here. I feel like Heist is one of the more first pick dependent game modes that we've got in esports nowadays.
oh yeah, for sure. I'm looking to see how Heist is turn out, because like you mentioned, there are lots of changes which have happened. We have the meta has shifted a lot, and then the meta also shifted last year because we introduced those shields, which fundamentally changed the game, because you couldn't just burst it down. You had to burst it down, but like you burst it out in segments. So that has changed a lot of how the game goes. It's not just about control, but it's about how much burst you can do as well. So lots of different strategies which have evolved. Before it was more about keeping complete control of the mid. Now it's not as important to keep control of the mid as much as it is important to get onto the objective.
Yeah, and kind of in relation to that heist crack strategy that you were saying, some of those brawlers like Colette and Crow, who can do like 50%, are going to get heavily nerfed by that change. But regardless, we've got our bans here. Our map is going to be Safe Zone. Banned out by Black X are Cordelius, RT, and Otis. Zarita Gang banning out Chuck, Angelo, and Pierce. And the first pick is going to be one of those dive brawlers I brought up. It's going to be the Lily. Honestly, with out of the way, with Kaze being one of our global bans, probably one of the better ones. Her and Melody are really those two brawlers. So I like the Lily pick, and I'm expecting the Melody to come out for the side of Zarita Gang.
We're waiting for the pick here, and if you're right, it would be pretty cool. Okay, we get Colt instead, and
No.
I like the Colt pick. No, because I was gonna shot he's like a Melody in my head, but anyway, Colt coming out. I like the Colt here. It's a no nonsense pick here. We were talking about getting damage on the objective, and that's good. And Crow coming out, and those supers are so good, especially because the way hypercharges work, you get your hypercharge towards the point where that safe might be cracked at maybe the third or the fourth stage. So I like this Crow pick as well.
Yeah, no, I think that these are two fantastic options. They both have decent enough mid control while also providing a lot of damage to the safe. Crow is going to be more of a defensive brawler until he starts to get that hypercharge, and then he can try to go and finish the game in that way. Colt, on the other hand, going to be trying to provide that consistent damage on the safe from far away for the entirety of the game. Gonna have to see what type of middle range brawlers Black X is going to bring to the table. First is going to be a Bell, which I think has very favorable matchups into both Colt and Crow. If you're able to line up your shots on those speedy brawlers, the Bell should be able to have a really good matchup and dominate that mid.
Yeah, I like this one here as well, because you get those bounce shots, you get the super as well. the gadgets, which basically put you in a slower situation where you get caught out by multiple people. So the Miko's coming out, and
Wow.
I like this one as well because again, we were talking about getting onto the objective.
Yeah.
And Zarita Gang, I feel like this is a no nonsense draft from both these teams.
Maybe a little bit of nonsense from Black X. I mean, I know I wanted them to
the
think outside of the
bow.
box, but Lily and Miko is very intriguing to me. Is it going to be tough to defend? Absolutely, but the defense for Black X is going to be pretty much solely left on Belle's shoulders. Belle's going to have a lot on her plate here, and I'm very curious if she's going to be able to keep the push off long enough for the Lily and Miko to get cooking.
Yeah, I felt like, after the Bell pick, going for the Miko was not the right idea. So I don't know if this is, I mean, it's not that I don't know. I want to see how badly it works out.
It's a risk that might be worth it in the end of the day, but it's all going to come down to the defense here. So we'll see if the defense of Zarita Gang is going to be better than the defense of Black X. It's going to be all on Law's shoulders with the Bell, as we see Miko is already making a break for the safe. Not able to get a singular jump off, though, and is going to feed Jofave 2 hits towards Melody Super. So pretty impactful trade there.
Great start coming in from Zarita Gang here. Black X kind of being caught out here. Jump coming in from Miko, and obviously you should ignore everybody as much as possible if you're Miko and go directly for the safe damage, which is what he's doing. But Zarita Gang not really paying attention to Miko as they should, and they're going for the safe damage, which is what they're doing. There's also super from JXCR. He's gonna go in and try to get that safe down first before he jumps in.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming out from the Miko there, but more damage on the side of Zarita Gang right now. So I feel like they are pretty comfortable leaving the Miko if they must. With those two dive brawlers, you can really don't want to get too distracted defending both of them. They want to just try to finish off this safe, and they've got that final safe crack, so they're well on their way to doing so. JXCR is going to get taken to the realm by the Lily, though, so a lot of damage coming in, but regardless, Melody was able to stay alive. Jofave able to pop off on that dive brawler and pretty much shred down that safe with the help of the Colt. And that is going to be a quick victory for Zarita Gang once again.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. I mean, for Zarita Gang, they completely wiped through the opposition, and they played the composition exactly how they were supposed to do it, which is go for the objective and ignore the Miko, because the Miko, if he wastes ammo trying to get you out, he's not using the ammo for the objective. So beautiful stuff from Zarita.
Yeah, I think that they see that there's two dive brawlers, and they know that they have to not really play the defense game. They want to play the base race game with the Melody. So Jofave is going to charge up his super on the defensive end and look for a gap to break through on offense. JXCR with a huge kill right there is going to give him a little bit of space to do so. Luke is trying to defend, but it's not going to go fantastically well. They already got a safe crack, and Joe is going to get a little bit more damage here. A lot more damage, actually. Holy.
Yeah, I mean, the Melody and the composition itself is a really good pick here because, once you go on the objective, then you just get lots of damage rolling in one after the other. But finally, the Miko is doing a little bit, but I don't understand the second jump because you already know one hit is going to take out the safe. You could have just jumped out. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, he's going to pop that super, so a little bit more damage coming through. But you see Zarita Gang is opting to play zero defense. They are going to let the monkey base race. The Crow hyper jump is going to get a ton of damage, and they still have two members left. Are they going to be able to finish the safe in one fell swoop? Indeed they are. That is going to be yet another game victory, yet another set victory for Zarita Gang, who is 5-0 in sets today.
Zarita Gang just executing at that high level, and I feel like Black X are completely out of their depth. Like, we aren't seeing anything different from the predictions that we had initially. So I feel bad for Black X, but they're trying. It isn't like they're just letting Zarita Gang, go win it easily or something. They're trying their best, and we see moments of brilliance, but unfortunately Zarita Gang are just that much more oppressive. Just look at the stats here.
Yeah, I'm definitely noticing Santi's stats on the Miko are pretty hilarious. Usually when you see Miko in Heist, it's going to be like 0 to 1 kills and like 8 to 10 deaths, but he only had 1 death, which means that Zarita Gang just chose not to defend him, and it ended up working out in their favor. You see very little damage from the Miko as well, so not really the way that Black X wanted to play this game. They wanted to play the base race and win the base race, but Zarita Gang said, we can do the base race and we'll do it better than you, and that's exactly what happened right there. Really well played by them to counter a pretty off-meta draft with the double dive.
Yeah, I mean, the double dive is... It would make sense if you had like a different dive brawler in this situation, a brawler that can, hold lane and also jump in. In this case, you had two brawlers that are only dive brawlers, and I feel like you need to have multidisciplinary approaches to how you go for this draft here. Yes, they're both for the objective, but can they hold on into control if required. No, they're not adaptable in that situation, and that is the major reason why they lost that set.
Absolutely. You can play a little bit of defense if absolutely necessary with Lily. Miko, no, you can't. You have no choice but to jump up to the safe, and if you get ignored, you get ignored, and you can really just you're at the mercy of your reload speed at that point. So base racing against some of these dive brawlers can be a viable strategy. I've seen that in the past with esports too. When the other team does get Chuck, you can sometimes choose to just try to out damage that Chuck and let him cook on the safe if he wants to, but you just know that they're not going to have the defensive capabilities when they take these dive brawlers early. So Zarita Gang did a really good job taking the mid-range brawlers that still have a lot of safe damage to counteract that.
Yeah, I feel like out now dive brawlers are something that you should go as a last pick, because once you've covered all your bases and you have all the other brawlers picked out, then you can understand the threats that could come as a result of you picking your composition, right? And in those moments, you make those informed decisions which either complement your team or hurt your team. And in this case, they took a composition which definitely hurt the team. They should have understood by the draft at that point in time that they needed to take something for a mid, for a little bit more control to contain the composition from the other side, because if you already have the Lily jumping in, you are already set. So I feel like the pick should have been at the end, right? It should have been towards the end when you've already analyzed all the threats.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah, I feel like kind of with what we've talked about, though, Zarita Gang has just been so dominant that I can barely even fault Black X for trying to go a little bit more off meta with the draft. I respect them taking their chance. It didn't work out this time, but maybe we'll see it work out this time. We've got our third set, Knockout out in the open. Gus, Byron, Bell, Pierce, Angelo, and Brock banned out. And we're going to, for the first time in the Road to Brawl Cup for South America West, see a Glowbirds.
Glober, I haven't seen this one in this tournament, so it's interesting to see that coming out. And this is maybe the unorthodox thing that we're looking at. Gene is going to be brought out for Zarita Gang along with the RT, and honestly, I like this already because out in the open, it's not as out in the open as you expect it to be, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty solid strategy. They're going to pair it up with a Squeak as well, so they've got a lot of mid-range. They've got a decent amount of sustain. I like the RT pick from Zarita Gang, though, because they are kind of preparing for the inevitability that there might be a little bit of a tank or an aggro coming out with Black X's last pick, so they want to be prepared for that ahead of time. RT with the Gene can also be a pretty solid combination because that poke damage from the Gene when you're marked up by the RT can actually be pretty impactful, so that's a strategy that people like to employ, as well as the RT tick strategy. Not a bad idea, and we do see that tank coming out from Black X, so it seems like Zarita Gang kind of clocked it ahead of time.
I like the Buster pick, but this composition from Black X just seems like it's a lot of different ideas which don't coalesce into one strong idea, right? Like there are lots of different concepts of a plan, I would say.
I would probably agree with that. I could see it working out. I mean, the Buster is going to be able to charge up Hyper for the end game and then be able to use that shield to try to break out of spawn. It's going to be able to counter the Gene pulls too, which I think should be useful. The Meeple pick is going to be very interesting though. One of the main reasons Meeple is meta on this map is because of that Mansions of Meeple box gadget. It can take up so much room. It can trap people back in their spawn when the smoke starts closing in, and it's good for destroying that grass. So very versatile pick from Zarita Gang. Gotta be honest, I do like their draft a little bit better, but I haven't seen too much competitive Globers, so that's definitely the brawler that I'm going to have my eyes on to be a difference maker.
I want to know if they're going to be running Mansions of Meeple, because it would be hilarious to me if the Buster goes in with a hypercharge and the Mansion of Meeple is there to be like, hey, nice hypercharge, buddy, but
That's certainly what I'm expecting. I think it is a pretty solid counter pick here, but we're going to be getting into the game now. First Mansions of Meeple is down, and Lucas is very much trapped right here. Brian is going to be taking no time off right now, and he gets himself in a bad spot. He does get the trade, but overall a very crazy start to this knockout game. Not really what I expected in competitive gameplay, but this is what I'm here for.
Indeed. But this is a little bit unexpected. Mansions of Meeple going down. Unfortunately, there is no super, but he has kind of corralled them in a position which is a little bit unfortunate. But, with the heal of Globert, you're going to have a little bit more survivability for Law. And as time goes by, because he's close to him, he has the super, like right there.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they've got this is the duo that they drafted around, so we're going to see if they're able to do too much with it. There's the Buster Hyper, and as Panda expected, there's the Mansions of Meeple, there's the Meeple Super, and that is very quickly and easily dealt with. I kind of expected that, but that was even a little bit more simple for Zarita Gang than I thought it would be.
I'm sorry, that just felt like a winter Brawl Stars clip from Twitter, man. It felt like a Potato BS clip. I'm sorry. That was hilarious. We kind of saw it written on the wall. We got another one coming in once more. Oh my god, this is crazy.
They are abusing that Meeple hyper to be able to escape through that wall too. They don't have good positioning right now. Joe Fave is going to be pretty weak, but at the end of the day, there's going to be no kill confirmations coming in from the side of Black X, left in an unfavorable 2v3 without their healer as well that their comp was kind of built around, and that's an RT hyper. If there's a purple button win game button in the game, it is RT's hypercharge, and yeah, that's pretty much exactly what we see.
Whew, that's all she wrote. That was insane. I mean, it's not all she wrote because we have them on match points Zarita's gang, and they did that strategy perfectly. If you're running matches with Meeple, you also have to have your super down, and that's what they did. There was a little bit of a sketchy situation where they did all of that, but they got pushed back behind their own wall, kind of being pressured by Squeak. But luckily for them, they got out of that situation. We're going to go into possibly our last game since Zarita gang is on match point.
Yeah, Zarita gang has not shown any signs of slowing down yet. It looks like they've got the draft to be able to secure the bag here too, but Luke is going to fall quite weak. Santi's going to be forced to reconnect onto him rather than staying onto the Buster. But overall, I mean, the Globert's getting these heals in, but it's not resulting in a whole lot of positioning. They do have a Buster shield online, which he pops, but he's going to be immediately boxed once again. The only thing preventing them from dying is that JXCR does not have a super yet.
Indeed, and Globert just gonna ensure that, you know, they have a little bit more survivability, but it also makes it easier for them to be found out. I feel like at this point you can farm your supers if you're Zarita gang. And
Joe Fave.
Oh my god, look at the sneak from Joe Fave, the pull as well, and now Law is just in a very bad spot. It goes from bad to worse as Zarita gang is close to finishing this nightmare for Black X.
That was a lot of RT shots that he was able to land there too, meaning he's got to be close to that hypercharge. If he gets that hypercharge, I do not see a way that Zarita gang does not walk away with this victory. The Mansions of Meeple is down, Santi is trapped, and he is cooked. That's going to be an RT hyper too. Maybe a little bit premature with that, but all things considered, this game is pretty much over. We got Buster and Squeak in a 2v3, and Joe Fave is just going to stay in his split form and just go clean up the rest himself. He's on janitor duty, and that is going to be game.
Good cleanup from Zarita gang in a clean 6-0 today, I think, which is kind of crazy. And that means Zarita gang is going to be the team that progresses onwards to the elimination portion of this tournament, which is going to be the double elimination tournament. Congratulations to Zarita gang for making it to that next stage.
Yeah, definitely a much deserved victory. They played some incredibly clean Brawl Stars today. Like you said, not dropping a singular set is pretty insane work for them. But I mean, looking at the stats right here, we just saw Joe Fave going absolutely insane on that RT. 14 kills in a knockout set is absurd. 174k damage is ridiculous too. Overall, man, just insane plays coming out from Zarita gang. They definitely look like the best team that we've seen so far in this tournament, and certainly the best team in Group B.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing what they are going to be bringing to the table against the other champions in each of the groups. So that is a very interesting set of matches that we've seen, the 3 matches in the group so far.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited to get into our rematches coming up pretty soon here. I believe that we will have the same order that we had for the beginning. So next up, we should have Black X versus, I'm forgetting the full name again. Give me 1 second, guys. Black X versus Dropeados 2026. So we'll be getting into that game very soon here. We did have Dropeados winning 3-1 in their first matchup. So we're going to see if Black X has learned a little bit from their matchup against Dropeados and Zarita gang and be able to bring back a little bit more fight into the second matchup.
Indeed. We have, what, Black X versus Dropeados right now? Yeah. Yes. I think Knockout is the first set. We have what? In Knockout, we have Bell's Rock, we have Out in the Open, and we have
Gold Arm Gulch, I presume.
That's the one. That's the one.
I gotcha. Yeah, now Gold Arm Gulch is one of the more interesting ones too, because compared to some of the other knockout maps, that one is played much more left to right rather than up to down. So it can definitely be a little bit different as far as the strategies go. You can send all 3 members onto the left lane, or you can try to catch the opponents lacking by splitting up. So that could be a map where you can get a little bit freakier with the strats, with the game plan. Definitely might be a place where Black X can try to catch Dropeados lacking a little bit there, but from what we saw in the first matchup, Dropeados is a big fan of the Frank. They're a big fan of running it down with that HP, so I'm curious if they're going to continue to employ that strategy against Black X.
Just waiting to see how this one is going to be going for Dropiatos and Zarita's gang. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted, and this is what happens when you have a little bit of ADHD, guys, and you're trying to do 3 or 4 things. You get a little bit distracted. I apologize.
All good, fam. We got a full caster booth of ADHD today, so we'll try to stay on topic as much as we can for y'all. But yeah, we got we're halfway through our matches today, and so far it's definitely looked like Zarita Gang is the team to beat. I'm curious if they'll even drop a set as we move through our final 3 games of the day, but they're going to take a quick break for this one. Like we said, we got Black X versus Dropeados, so Zarita Gang's going to be able to rest on their laurels for a little bit as they prepare for their final 2 matches.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes, and I keep saying that over and over again, so I need to shut my mouth. We're just obviously waiting, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this update is going to be going. Hopefully we don't get any bugs or anything like that, but I like the balance changes. I feel like the balance changes have been pretty well received by a lot of the people. Some of the brawlers haven't been nerfed to the extent that I guess we expected. The buffies might seem a little bit oppressive, as does the hypercharge from Pierce, but like I don't think it's anything different than what we've experienced in the past. So it's going to be a lot of us understanding and contending with the buffies, because whenever we get new buffies, it's like a sudden addition of 30 abilities.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not be as many buffies, but there are 30 different abilities that you have to understand each time. So there's going to be a lot of like learning, at least going forward. So I feel like Brawl Stars is in a very interesting an interesting point here, especially with the prestige and stuff as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun update coming tomorrow. Also, in case any of you guys are free to play in the chat here, you do get a free Buffy with this update. So definitely make sure you claim that if you want to get your hands on some of these new busted abilities. That's going to be your best way to do so. So definitely check that out. If you're going to buy something in the shop, maybe consider using code PAN. Until I get a code, I will continue to plug the code PAN. Let's go, baby. But yeah, guys, if you want to grab some buffies, definitely recommend supporting my brother Panda here. Could be a nice thing to do. Could be a nice way to get some of these bull buffies, some of these crow buffies that are going to be shaping the next meta.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that. And
of course.
Honestly, I'm just like, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. The serious introduction is also very interesting. Like, the dude has so much of aura. I like his voice lines as well.
Oh, yeah.
He reminds me a little bit of Byron with the way he talks, because he has the same depth kind of range in the voice and the tenor as well. And I feel like it's just a little bit like if Byron was more sinister, then it would be serious. Because Byron seems like a sinister person in the sense that he doesn't care about what other people think. But Sirius seems like a sinister person in that he's been wronged and he wants to, inflict harm. So like fundamentally they're different, but I feel like the voice is really good with Sirius.
Yeah, I love everything about the Sirius rollout. They got a lot of lore behind him compared to some of the other brawlers, so that's fun. But we'll save that talk for another time, because we've got our second matchup of the day between Black X and Dropeados. We had Dropeados winning the first one 3-1, so Black X are going to be playing for revenge here. The global bans Mina, Spike, and Pierce, and then we're going to have Colt, Gray, Brock, Tick, RT, and Angelo banned out. First pick for Black X is Rico, and Dropeados is going to take a little bit more HP with the Ollie here.
I like this pick from Dropeados because you can jump in with that Ollie, or you could go in for that super, or you can pull people away. And I feel like in a map like Bell's Rock, you might want to pull people into situations where they don't want to be in, but that's going to be usually useful. For example, if you have some grass or people try to pressure you. So I like this idea. I don't exactly agree with the Rico, even though Rico is good in Bell's Rock. I don't know if it's as risk averse. I feel like it's still risky.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But with the Gray being banned out, I feel like that is one of the better Rico counters on this map. Ollie is scary though, because Rico tends to want to operate pretty aggressively on this map using those walls in the middle. But if you inch out even a centimeter too far, you can get hit by the Ollie all eyes on me gadget. And that's pretty much a death sentence. So Rico's got to play very cautious while still trying to keep up pressure. And I guess they're going to add a Poco into the mix to maybe give him a little bit more room for error. But that's a very interesting pick. I guess they're going with the anti-stun for the Ollie endgame super. I think that's probably the strategy there.
And the M's coming out for Black X. This is so many different ideas that I feel like the draft got away from Black X after they saw the Globert and the Ollie.
Perhaps.
Like they panicked and they took the M's along with the Poco, because synergistically I don't see any good real attributes here, and they're kind of lacking in the range department. So
Yeah, the Poco is, I mean, they kind of just forced their hand with the Poco pick because the Ollie is obviously going to be very impactful without the anti-stun Poco. So they're definitely just trying to neutralize the Ollie, but Poco doesn't do a whole lot by himself besides countering out the Ollie stun. So overall, really weird drafts from both teams. I can definitely see Kit Globert being effective. I mean, they're probably just going to juice up the Ollie, but what can Ollie really do without his stun is the question.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it was me and I was dropping Ados in the 6th pick, I would have gone for a thrower in this situation. They don't have a pull. They don't have anything that can address thrower. Like, I feel like a Sprout here would probably be pretty decent.
I agree with you on that, honestly. The Cat definitely could be a menace, so I'm curious how this is going to work. This is the last day of the Kit being an assassin rather than an actual support brawler. We got a couple of reworks coming for him tomorrow, but for now, he's still got a lot of assassin capabilities, so he's going to be charging up that super in the back bush right here. It is going to be interesting, too, because he always could be sneaking up, so Black X is going to have to stay prepared, stay aware of that.
Globert is such a menace around some of these walls here, and you know, even if you need the walls to ensure that the connection breaks, you're still going to take a little bit of damage in that moment there. So much of healing as well. Just look at Globert along with the fact that the kit is on Ollie. It's not dying.
This is such an interesting strategy. We do finally see some kills coming through, though, and it's all going to be on the side of Black X. Benja is going to try to do what he can right here, but stuck in a 1v3. Not really much going to be able to happen there. I'm just a little bit confused about the strategy from Tropeados. Like, they clearly have two brawlers who are there to support the Ollie, but what does the Ollie do when the stun doesn't connect? Like, we see the Poco anti-stun. Nobody gets hit by that super, and now they're just going to fall. I really don't like this draft from Tropeados. It seems like there's really no win condition for them here.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what they could have done, but I feel like, again, if they had taken a Sprout, this would have been game over. I don't think they would have lost if they took a Sprout. Or any thrower, mind you. Not even a good thrower on this map. Just any thrower would have won them this game.
I mean, they're playing to support the Ollie, but, like, you can't support a brawler who can't do anything. Like, it's just kind of simple like that. If the Ollie can't get value out of his gadgets and supers, then what is he really there for? I feel like it would have been a better idea to go with the thrower rather than the kit. I'm definitely with you there, but we'll see if there's something that we don't know and if Tropeados are going to pull out a secret forbidden strategy in this game. So far, it seems like more of the same, though, with the kit charging up the super and Leo Messi and Chino just kind of chilling together.
Oh my god, that's so much of value. He's probably close to his hyperdrive. Gets another super.
My goodness.
Super, oh my god, but the heals are going to be online. There's a kill on a Lucas. Oh, crazy. And finally, the kit is doing some work. Another kill onto Law as well. No, Law survived, but it doesn't matter. Benya able to clean him up.
I'm not even sure if that was a really good game from Tropeados or if it was just far too aggressive from Lucas on the Rico right there. I feel like probably a little bit of both, but after chaining two of those supers back to back, I can't even blame him for getting excited, but he bit off a little bit more than he could chew, and once you die a knockout in competitive, you're going to have a hard time bringing that back. So Santi's going to accept his fate right here, and finally we have a game going into the hands of Tropeados.
That is just a little bit crazy there. It wasn't a game, it was a round, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a little crazy there. A big super coming in now. There's going to be a jump as well. He's able to hypnotize one, not able to find the kill there. They get taken out. Two members get taken out. Only Globert alive. Globert can't do anything.
Nope. No, Globert is not going to do much, but he's going to stall for as long as he can, try to avoid feeding M's and Poco supers, but realistically, his time is definitely over. Poco with the hypercharge could be interesting here, but at the end of the day, man, it's just the Poco gadget has really been the story of this entire game. Taking Poco and knockout feels weird until you remember why he's there.
And you know, that one takedown of Black X when they had the opportune position was a little funny to me, but
yeah,
it reminds me of one of the quotes from Sun Tzu. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him, pretend to be weak that he may grow arrogant. And that's exactly what they did. They pretended to be weak and they just waited to pounce on them.
Some insane historical ball knowledge from PandaCast here, guys. This is what we're here for, but we see both teams are taking it pretty slowly here. The third round is always going to be a little bit more cautious, but the Cat invisibility is live. The Ollie hypercharge is live. Is it useful? Definitely not with the Poco gadget existing, but I mean, the smoke is going to start closing in soon, and we're going to see who makes the first move. It looks like it's going to be Lucas on the Rico. The Cat jump is active, but Leo is just not going to be able to get any stuns. The Poco anti-stun is just going to clean that up pretty quickly.
Oh, it's working out.
Rico hyper.
Oh,
it's still winnable.
I fell for that.
It's still winnable. I mean, Messi has the super. I'm not sure if the Poco gadget has fully cycled yet, but I mean, he's going to be dashing in here. He's going to jump back into the smoke. I mean, it was not really super winnable, but regardless, not really the best effort at the end there. That's going to be a pretty clean game going into the hands of Black X.
Amazing stuff coming from Black X, but I feel like at this point it's like both teams abusing the other team's mistakes rather than both teams making opportune plays. It's like they happen to be the right place at the right time to make use of the mistakes of the other team. If that's how I read the game, at least.
Yeah. I mean, definitely some pretty interesting drafts coming out there. I feel like we clearly have to give some credit to whoever's idea it was to go with the Poco into the Ollie. That was pretty much the difference of that game. And then Dropeados doubling down on the Ollie was quite interesting. But looking at our stats here, Lucas's damage on the Rico was definitely the main thing catching my eye right now. 100k damage when nobody on the other team was over 40k. Definitely very impressive. It's a great map for Rico, and he played it to a fantastic level.
Oh yeah, for 100%. I feel like it was much better done by the side of Black X. Initially, I think as we were confused, they were also confused by the composition that they were facing, because you have a cat and you have a Glober and you possibly have an Ollie that doesn't die, but you also have an Ollie that doesn't do that much of damage, because Ollie doesn't do that much of damage. He doesn't have that damage output. So like, you can survive as much as you want, but if you can't take out the enemy team, then it's basically, you know, a dunzo. And I like the fact that you mentioned that the Poco pick makes Ollie less relevant, because as soon as you get those heals, then Ollie's done.
Yeah, I feel like the comp from Dropeados would have worked out better, maybe with just a higher damage tank. I don't remember if Frank was banned or not in that game, but a brawler like Frank might have been able to get through some of the difficulties that the draft from Black X had to offer. But realistically, Ollie is a little bit too simple to counter with any type of anti-stun. The Poco being available was probably something that they should have banned out if they were really pressed on going with the Ollie.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like, you know, like I said, there are lots of concepts of ideas, but like if your other opponent has some very choice ideas, then you know the concept of an idea started becoming like sensible. So for them, it made a lot of sense. Like the Ollie pick itself was what made a lot of sense for the composition, considering what not the Ollie pick, the Poco pick itself is what made sense for the composition, considering the Ollie pick was on the other side. So I gotta say, at least like we had that level of understanding of what they needed to do, so that was good.
Yep, we've had some complex drafts, and I'm sure we'll have another one here as we move into our second set of our rematch between Black X and Dropeados. We've got Dueling Beetles. Frank, Gray, Ems, Kenji, Amber, and Poco are banned out, with Finks being the first pick, one of the most sturdy first picks in Hot Zone. He's fantastic for holding that mid control. Using that super to boost yourself and your teammates' ammo can definitely be very impactful once you have control in Hot Zone.
Oh yeah, I like this Sphinx pick. Once you get your super, it just makes it very, very difficult to get back into position. Dueling Beetles also has some certain angles where you have to move along those sites to get to the point. So Sphinx being a good choice for area denial is a really good thing. We have to look at our bans too, right? A lot of the tankier options have been removed. I feel like tank compositions aren't going to be as useful, considering the fact that even Frank is out, and as is Gray is out. Now we do have Hank coming out, which will help, which will be helped by the Glober. So you have a little bit of those synergistic attributes here. So I like this Hank pick. But on the other side, Dropeados go for Colt. Now, Colt has been buffed because of the buffies, but I don't know if I completely agree. I think their objective here is to break open one of the maps and make it slightly, you know, lopsided in terms of how the map is positioned. What are your thoughts on this?
That's how I see it as well. I think it is going to be mostly there for the wall break. I really do like the Globert Hank combo, because neither of those projectiles really get affected by the Finks super. So whether or not they feed, they're still going to be able to get that damage onto the Finks. I think that's kind of what Black X is going for. I love the Mortis pick from Dropeados. One of the best counters to Globert. Not fantastic into Hank once Hank has a super, but before Hank has a super, Mortis can definitely do a good amount of super feeding, a good amount of hyper feeding. So I like both of these drafts so far. I do think Dropeados is pretty well prepared for the Globert Hank though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, Mortis's opponent definitely shouldn't be the Hank per se, but Hank is a very easy opponent for Mortis to start chaining their supers, or at least work towards getting those hypercharges. And then, you know, when you get one of those hypercharges, it makes it easier. But I like this pick from Black X, because yes, Mortis is there to take out Glowbird, but now Shelly is there to take out Mortis, and the Glowbird is also going to be healing up the Shelly as well. So I like this. This is a really good response from BlackX, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've certainly got the Mortis covered. I feel like the Dropeados comp is really going to come down to Colt hitting his shots consistently, which is easier said than done, but these are some of the best players in the world. If anybody can line up those Colt clips, it's going to be them. So I got my eyes on the Colt right here. How fast he can break up the map, how fast he's able to chain together some of these supers and hypers is definitely going to be super impactful.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're gonna go into game number 1 of the second set between BlackX and Dropeados, and already we see the control in the mid gonna be Leo Messi going in, and he's still very much alive, but he gets taken out finally. Lots of heals coming in from Law onto from Lucas on a Law, and as a result, Law is able to stay longer than he should be, but finally they've dispatched him, and Chino destroying the opposition here.
Yeah, I said the Colt was the one to watch out for, and Chino is definitely took my words to heart because he is cooking so far. He's already got a hypercharge just a couple seconds into the game. He's going to try to cook the fish right here, but the healing from the Glowbird's going to be a lot. He's going to switch on to Santi now, but Chino with 2 kills, 1 super, 2 kills for Chino. Leo Messi going to clean up the rest. That was beautiful from Dropeados.
Oh my god, that was a Zarcedo clip right there. double strafe and complete connection. It's absolutely crazy. Leo going in, and unfortunately Law misses the super there. Wow.
Yeah, Leo was too fast with the dash out right there. I know we talked about the servers being something impactful earlier, but that 0 ping Mortis is definitely definitely gliding right here. That's going to be enough to kill the Glowbird as well, and now Santi's going to be trying to clear out some space. BlackX down about 30%, but they're not out of it yet, especially if they're able to clean up Leo Messi here. Chino does have a hyper.
I feel like the Buffy hypers feel like they last forever. Oh my god, another super. Chino's a man possessed.
Yeah, this man Chino is putting the team on his back right now. I definitely was looking to see if he was going to be able to hit these clips, and he has far exceeded my expectations. Not sure why Leo Messi is dashing into a Shelly, but realistically, this game is over. They are going to be taking the win for Dropeados. Really good Colt plays, really good team plays. Overall, that was just a pretty fantastic performance from Chino.
Yeah, my only concern was the ability of the Colt to hit those clips, and he has allayed any kind of doubts that I've had in the first game. Let's see if he can hold on to some of that sauce, because he definitely seems to be in form right now.
Gonna be hard to top that game 1 performance, but I will continue to keep my eyes on CS Chino right here. He's gonna be matched up against Santi, which should be a pretty free matchup for him. The dash is gonna be somewhat effective in clearing out some space, but regardless, Chino got the wall and grass break that he wanted. Leo Messi charging as much super as possible. He gets the chain, and that's gonna allow Dropeados to take the entire zone without losing a member.
There are multiple supers on Dropeados' side, and they can't afford to put it down right now. Hypercharge being put down. It doesn't matter. So much of value, so many kills as well coming around. Lucas tries to find the super, not able to do so. Hypercharge from Chino. He is connecting so many of these shots onto Santi, but Santi's still very much alive. Yeah,
mostly thanks to the heals coming out from the Glowbird, but now Law is going to be the beneficiary of those heals. We see the Creature of the Night gadget from Leo Messi. Didn't even necessarily need it. They are once again going to be able to survive on low HP on the zone. Benja had that super up for a while too, but it's going to go away regardless. Chino does not need that to help him out. He's continuing to hit all of these nasty clips. The Hank super is going to keep him alive a little bit longer, but once again, Chino is just showing to be the MVP of this match. I don't know if BlackX has it in them.
Yeah, Lucas is a little bit worried about the way he has to go up here, waiting for his team to really recollect. Santi uses a hypercharge, but doesn't use the actual super on anybody. It doesn't get any value. Dropeados was completely eviscerating BlackX. That's crazy.
Yeah, I understand the Shelly pick for the Mortis, but overall, Shelly just got countered by the Finks and the Colt a little bit too hard to be that effective. We see the final game stats, at least right here, just really nothing in the favor of BlackX. That's going to be Dropeados tying us up at 1-1 in this rematch. Again, in the first matchup today, Dropeados won 3-1, so they're going to be hoping to keep this momentum rolling and repeat that 3-1 scoreline.
Indeed, and we have our stats here, and you can see the amount of healing that Glowbird did. It did 24,000 in terms of healing, but look at Mortis on a one-man mission. He's healed as much as Glowbird has done. So
that's insane.
I understand why a lot of teams do like Glowbird, but you got to know how to play it, and you got to know how to use it. And I feel like in a lot of situations, Dropeados use the marks that they needed to do. And yes, Chino was definitely the guy who was firing off on all cylinders. But at the same time, look at Benya.
Yeah, I can't lie, man. Mortis having the same healing as Glovert is actually diabolical. That was kind of insane that Leo Messi was able to stack up that many heals on an assassin. But regardless, the Mortis pick worked out. Even with the Shelly last pick being taken to counter out the Mortis, they just really never found that matchup in their favor. And then once again, Chino 4-0 with the most damage, just absolutely dialed in on that Colt. Such a highly skilled brawler, but it's a high risk, high reward brawler. If you're able to hit those shots, he's just so broken.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a reason why I don't run Colt, and the reason is because that would be the exact opposite of the display that you saw. It would be terrible. I would miss all my shots. There are so many times where I do full clips of regular attacks, and then I'm like, yeah, I got my super, and then I miss the super completely. It's the worst.
Well, we've all been there, and I'm sure Chino has too. Probably less times than us though, because that man was absolutely dialed in on that brawler. I feel like he's probably going to be one of those guys who's pretty good on some of those range DPS options. So I would like to see him on the Rico, perhaps. Maybe something else like a Lola, who is not really meta, so never mind. Scratch that from the record. But regardless, Chino definitely put in some fantastic work right there, willing his team into a set victory. We've got a couple more sets here, though. We are tied up at 1 set apiece. And the next game mode we are going into should be Gem Grab. So definitely a hectic game mode with a lot of potential for turnarounds on the last second pin.
So I don't know if your voice is like broken or not. It was broken on my end. It might be Discord. Can you say something?
Yeah. And my chat, if you guys want to let me know if there's any issues with my voice.
Now it's fine. Now
okay,
it's fine.
perfect.
But there were some issues. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I got a little distracted. And I think we're going to go in our next set here between Black X and Dropados. I liked what I saw, especially in this set here. We're tied at 1 apiece. We're going to go into Gem Grab, I believe, which is the next one. Oh, double swoosh is there. And the blue team gets to pick. They go for Janet.
I like the Janet pick, especially considering the bans that we have here. I mean, no alligator is definitely going to be a pretty nice thing to see. Even though Janet does have a little bit more escapability, you don't want to be getting taken to that Lily hyper realm. You don't want to be getting caught lacking by an alligator or a Mortis for that matter. So 3 assassins banned out by Black X. Ems and Otis banned out by Dropeados, maybe indicating that they want to go with a tank, considering that they banned out the 2 best tank counters in the game. Not going to take that tank quite yet, though. They're going to go with the Crow, who is fantastic for this map. He's got good range, he's got good scouting, and he's got a good assassin ability to be able to steal the gems if they need it.
Yeah, the anti-heal as well just pushes you back a little bit, and the scouting is basically the most important part, right? I mean, none of the teams have taken Amber here. That is also a pretty interesting decision, and there isn't a what's the word I'm looking for? We don't have Sandy as well. Ems has been banned out, so I feel like the viability for Amber dramatically increases as a result of that as well.
I agree. I think Amber's a fantastic pick on this map. Obviously, there's a ton of grass on this map, and Amber's one of the best brawlers in the game for taking that grass away. All things considered, though, the grass isn't going to be that much in the favor of Dropeados with the comp that they've got so far. They have Crow and Squeak, 2 relatively squishy brawlers, medium range, don't pack too much of a punch by themselves, but they're pretty good for holding control. So I feel like there is a little bit of assassin ability for the side of Black X if they choose to take it in this draft. They're going to go with a little bit of a tank assassin hybrid. I really do like the Trunk pick, especially after what we saw earlier today. It's a brawler I'm excited to see come back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but then the viability of Trunk dramatically also depends on how you're able to support it. And right now, Trunk doesn't really have support per se, but you don't necessarily need to have support in this map. You just need to have the ability to scout and then say, Trunk, smash. And, you know, that's what happens.
Pretty much exactly that. They're going to give him a little bit of support, though, with another Poco pick coming out for Black X. I kind of assume this is going to still be a Janet mid situation. So once again, we're going to have the 2-man mission with the Trunk and the Poco trying to take on the world by themselves. Like I mentioned, Dropeados, they have a decent control comp, but not a ton of burst damage. So might be tough for Crow and Squeak to quickly take down a Trunk Poco combo.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely possible, but there are already brawlers that kind of do handle a little bit. But yeah, I like the comp from Dropeados. Technically speaking, they have the slow from Squeak. They have the ability to scout out what people are. They have Shelly, which can take out Trunk if Trunk is a little too funky. So I don't know. I like this Dropeados comp. I also like the Black X comp. for other reasons.
Yeah, I think the Shelly pick addresses the trunk well enough, but I do personally think that Frank might have been a little bit stronger in that situation. Regardless, the Shelly can work out, but it's going to feed the Poco and it's going to feed the Janet. So unless you're able to get isolated in that trunk 1v1, it might be a little bit tough. Regardless, I feel like I do slightly favor the comp that Black X is bringing to the table here. We'll see if it ends up working out that way as we get into our third set here, Pan.
Indeed, it is underway. One apiece between these two teams here, and this is a very important match, obviously, because they want to ensure that they get their dubs against each other, because Dorita Gang is basically going to be the death knell. Leo Messi going up against Lucas finds the kill with the shell shock at the end, and Law trying to pressure out the squeak and is able to do so for a little bit while there is a mano a mano versus Chino and Santi, and Chino decides to jump out of that situation.
Yep, we see Leo Messi taking up a lot of space on the left-hand side here. He's definitely threatening with that Shelly. Not able to get too much damage yet, but everything is going well for Dropeado so far. We see the trunk picking up a lot of gems, which is not really the way that they want to be doing that. He's going to deliver those gems to Venya, and so far everything is looking very smooth for Dropeados. They have full control and 7 gems, 8 gems on their head.
Yeah, it's interesting that Janet isn't using drop the base, but they're actually using the other one, which allows you to jump out of the situation there. Despite that jump, though, Leo Messi has everything covered. Oh no, Law goes in. Despite the hypercharge super, it didn't matter. There is a jump coming from Chino to obviate that a threat there, but great stuff from Dropeados.
Yeah, Leo Messi is just cleaning up anybody who wants to get close to his squeak. He is not going to allow his gem carrier to fall quite that easily. Throwing up the bronze spray for a little bit of BM at the end there, but overall, extremely clean round from Dropeados. We just never saw Black X get set up with any type of control in their opponent's bush.
Yeah, that was absolutely disgusting the way the Shelly was playing it, because there were situations where, like, I felt like the Shelly should be bamboozled, but it's important to know that the Janet isn't running drop the base. So, like, how are you supposed to scout then? Like, are you just supposed to scout like the conventional method? Then what's the point of running Janet at all?
That's kind of, I'm with you on that, Fan. I don't really understand it. I'm certain that he's running with the vision gear, but regardless, it's going to be a tough lane with the Shelly, especially with all that speed that the speed gear has to offer. We see him wiggling a couple of shots here and there, but so far the middle interaction is going about as we saw last game. The Squeak Super is going to be enough to confirm the kill on Santi. And once again, Venya has all these gems, Dropeados has all this control, and there's really nothing to speak of for Black X yet.
I just find it crazy that Leo Messi is able to win lane against Janet there, because Lucas is supposed to have the better interaction, but it doesn't seem that way at all.
Ooh, but Law is going to get the roll onto Venya, not quite able to get that kill. Leo doing a fantastic job defending his teammate, but Lucas is going to be flying in there. Chino's going to take some gems over here, but all eyes on the Janet fly right now. Not going to be able to confirm the kill. He does get the kill, and he is able to fully cycle flies, but I don't think he was able to get any gems out of there. Yeah.
Oh, that was unfortunate. All that effort for nothing. Hypercharge from Law. He tries to go in. He's able to get a kill. He tries to get the gems, but it's not possible.
Very close to making a game-changing play, but now Leo is on a mission with the Hyper. He kind of missed it a little bit, but regardless, he has 10 gems on the head. Law is once again going to be rolling in, though, and it's really all eyes on Law. If he's able to get a little bit more motion here with 10 seconds left on the clock, they can try to fight for a reset.
Hey, I understood the vision for Leo, right? He was trying to manually aim to hit both of those people, but he missed one completely. Misses that. Hypercharge coming in. It doesn't matter. That's going to be the win for Dropeados.
Yep, definitely a really clean set from Dropeados right there. I was not too big of a fan of the comp, but overall, they just played it really well. The Poco into the Crow, it's a high-risk strategy, and it did not really end up paying off at all. I feel like we've seen a lot of Poco today, honestly, a little bit more than I expected. Some situations it works out great, like when we saw the Ollie being fully countered out, and then sometimes you pick it into a Crow and you get beat 10-0 in both games. So, you know, it's a little risk, it's a little reward, but overall, well played to Dropeados.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from Dropeados there. I feel like, yeah, it is high risk, and obviously we would get high reward, but like it's not been working out that much. And I feel like when you look at draft from different regions, it is like analyzing dialects from different countries, because a lot of people speak English, but the way English is spoken in different countries differs massively. The same way how Spanish spoken in like South America versus Europe is significantly different. So you get different flavors of the draft in each of the regions. Each region has a different level not level, but different way that they express their skills, right?
Yeah.
So I like the fact that we're seeing what South America has to offer with the different ways that they are trying to draft. But I feel like the drafts will get cleaner as we move on to the double elimination stage.
Yeah, and these teams, like we've already mentioned, have already played each other today. So there's even that additional level of draft game theory kind of going into it, because they've seen the picks that their opponents like to go with earlier. They saw the picks that their opponents went against Zarita Gang, and now they're facing off against the same opponent again. So they kind of have an idea of what brawlers the other team is best at, and they're going to have to try to work the bans and the draft around that knowledge. So definitely a lot of knowledge to go off of, and it's a lot to take into account in like a 30-second to a minute long draft. So excited to see what they bring to the table in our next set, Panda.
Yeah, and before we oh no, we have the next set. Never mind. I thought it's I'm sorry. I got distracted.
Oh, good. What game mode we got for our next set, Pan?
I believe that we have Brawl Ball. No, but we have Zarita Gang, right? Don't we have Zarita Gang? Where's the drop out?
No, it's Drop Autos 2-1 against Black X right now, I'm pretty sure. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, this is why we need the score.
Yeah, no, we're still in not Zarita Gang. We're still in Dropeados versus Black X. It's Dropeados 2 sets to Black X 1. So we've got our 4th set coming up here, guys. Sorry for the confusion there, but I believe it should be Brawl Ball for the game mode. So we'll be getting into that Brawl Ball set very soon here. Not exactly sure what the map pool we have. I think we had Super Beach earlier, so it should be a different map, perhaps Pinball Dreams. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
I'm just distracted by my unicorn.
That looks awesome though, man.
It kind of reminds me of like one of those World War One Germany like helmets, right? Like they have the spiky thing.
I suppose
like they have the helmet and then the spike.
I was gonna say it reminds me of Barry the Unicorn from Brawl Stars, but I guess that shows where our interests are different.
I'm sorry. Hey, wait, we're going to our next set, right? Like you mentioned?
Yep, we should have Brawl Ball between these two teams. Dropeados with a 2-1 lead. They won the first match 3-1, so they're going to be looking to repeat that after dropping set 1 here. They've won 2 in a row now, so all the momentum in the favor of Dropeados. Black X have yet to win an entire match today, so this is probably going to be their best chance. After this, the only team they have to face is Zarita Gang, who pretty easily swept them. So it's their last hope to get a couple of wins. They got to try and stack them up here while they can.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I'm interested to see how they decide to draft this one, because you have different ideas of how they want to go about doing this. So it's going to be an interesting one for sure. I did like the Shelly pick in this the set that we just saw, but unfortunately, like it wasn't the best, right? No, It was the best. They won that.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of Shelly picks coming out. It's I feel like when the initial set of balance changes came in that nerfed the first 6 set of buffies, I feel like all 6 of those brawlers were pretty clearly top 10, and now I think Shelly's one of the only ones that kind of fell off a little bit. I think that the Colt gadget got nerfed. It definitely impacted him a little bit, but like Ems is still busted, Frank is still busted, Spike is still busted. Shelly definitely took a little bit of a step back in the meta with the clay pigeons getting that slow time basically cut in half. But now that we see the fast forward gadget kind of making a return into the meta, it's really strong into tankier options, and it can be strong in just general ways of trying to get out of the situation.
Somebody wanted to know if you're real, and you had to put up 3 fingers. So I'm Duncan.
Yes, guys. Panda's taking over my channel from now on. I apologize, chat.
Oh, we finally go into draft now. We have Pinhole Punt. And the first pick is going to be the Finks here coming in from Black X. The bans are going to be Kenji, Ali, Mortis, Ems, Otis, and Meeple. The global bans being Spike, Pierce, and Mina. So just because of the nature of the bans, we have a lot more variety. Finks is the first pick from Black X, and on such an open map, I feel like Finks is definitely going to get a lot of value, especially with that super, and you can be a little bit aggressive with some of those gadgets where you can go all the way in and then just pop out.
Yeah, Finks is one of those mid-range brawlers who does fare pretty well into aggro options. Like you said, because of that gadget, you can just run into like a Mortis, you can run into a Frank, 3 auto aims, gadget back, and then do it again. So I like the Finks. He's really good for holding mid control on a map like this where the mid control is so important. Poco's going to be a pretty good counter into that, though. Although it does feed the Finks, his shot does not get quite as affected by the Fink super as a lot of other mid-range options. So I like the Poco idea, something we've seen a lot today, and I guess we're going to have to expect to keep on seeing it, Pin.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I feel like Poco is rated very highly, but I feel like that's also a reason because the meta is very tank heavy. So if you have a lot of tankier brawlers on your side, then it might be a reason. Then the other thing is that if you look at all the bans and the picks that we have so far, if they don't pick Poco now, they risk facing a Poco Frank.
Yeah.
So they had to pick the Poco, and now they're going for Mo, which is a really good tank killer in a way.
I do like the Mo pick. I feel like they want to keep those tankier options available for the last pick of the draft right here. So they're not going to choose which tank they're going to go with yet, but they are going to leave that option open. Mo, as we discussed earlier, one of the best goal scorers in Brawl Ball in this current meta. He's got good ability to charge his super off mid-range options or tankier options, and then he can use that goal to, or use that super to score from pretty far away. So I like the Mo option. I'd love the Rico option as well. The issue is that there's not that many walls in the middle of this map. So Rico, not the best for mid control, but if you're able to get position, then he can fully keep you spawn trapped.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the positioning really does matter. We have a Fang coming out here, so the Fang is a pretty interesting choice here, all things considered. I feel like, yeah, Fang can jump in and get in the point where you can help kill like a Poco on the other side. But then the thing is, the Mo is also going to be able to knock you back. So you have to be very careful about when you go in. You have to be picky and choosy.
Yeah, the Fang is one of those tankier picks that you don't really see a whole lot in Brawl Ball specifically. I feel like Fang's niche is typically in the bounty or knockout meta, but I can see a way that it works out. Obviously, Poco doesn't have the best damage to be able to deal with him. Mo really kind of has to use a super to be able to deal with the Fang, but they are going to take that Frank from the side of Dropeados. I kind of expected that. That's a pick that they've kind of spammed out all day, and getting him paired up with the Poco is going to make him that much stronger. I'm a little bit confused about this Fang pick. I don't see it working out great for Black X.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is I felt like they had a right idea, but then they kind of lost the plot again in terms of what they needed to go for.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they're able to put together a winning strategy right here. The Fang popcorn gadget could be pretty useful. He might opt to go with the stun to counteract the Frank a little bit more, but I just don't really see a way that they're going to be able to deal with this HP that the Frank has along with the Poco heals. We already see it coming into play here. Leo's taking a lot of positioning for himself with the help of Benya on the Poco. Law's going to be trying to slow that down with the use of his Time Warp, but he's just going to end up getting pinched out by all this HP.
Ooh. That max range screeching solo, God, I hate it. Oh, they get all the kills and are able to get an easy goal within 24 seconds.
Yep, that's going to be a pretty quick crumbling of the cookie for the side of Black X. I mean, they do have a Fang super online, but it's only like 2.5k damage. It's really not going to be enough to get too many kills. The Rico super is going to be enough to combine there, though. So we do see the first lick of control coming onto the side of Black X. Santi is just trying to bide his time up here, recharge a little bit of HP, and it's going pretty well. Chino's the only one left in the mid for Dropeados.
Ball being passed back, and it has finally been passed up here. They've been able to clear the ball, which is really good, all things considered. Leo Messi trying to go in. He gets one kill, not able to get the second. Chino trying to find the ball, but in an awkward position up against Law here.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to get pinched out with the help of Lucas. Somehow still alive. Really well played to survive that long, all things considered. But for the first time, Black X is going to be on the offensive side. The Rico Hyper is going to go out. It doesn't really do all that much work, but it does clear out a little bit of space. But Leo pops the Hyper for the speed boost, and the speed boost alone. Is he going to be able to solo this goal right here? Oh my goodness.
God. He literally is Leo Messi.
That was insane. He just took on the entire defense by himself with a lot of HP, a purple button, and a dream. He's going to be able to wrap up that first game. I mean, Dropeados has been spamming out the Frank all day, and I cannot hate on them for liking this brawler. They are clearly good with it, and they are making the most out of it every single time.
Indeed, we're going to go into game number 2 here. Dropeados on match point against Black X. So it really does come down to this one for Black X, or they're completely out here. The super coming in from Santi. He tries, but Leo Messi and Benya get the drop on him. Now Lucas is going to be the next on the chopping block. No! He gets the kill, and he also uses a super, but not able to find Benya.
Yeah, Black X should be able to secure the defense here, but they are already getting spawn trapped. Chino is just going to be trying to work towards that first super, and once he gets it, he might be able to make a play for a goal. But so far, so good on the defensive end of things. Leo is moving back up with his super, though. He's probably going to use this to break open the walls. Indeed, that's what he does, and that's going to be more than enough HP to get that first goal. I feel like that Frank last pick was just too juicy for Dropeados.
Yeah, I mean, they already had the Poco. It was basically a no-brainer. I'm surprised that Black X didn't offer the Frank to, de-incentivize that pick, considering the Poco was already brought out on the other team.
Yeah, it seems a little bit foolish to let them get a Frank when they already had a Poco,
Oh
and they're gonna
no!
make him
Oh
feel even more
no!
foolish, throwing up the clown pin and the trick shot. I mean, Drope
Uh-oh.
Autos are definitely dragging a little bit here. That was a pretty clean victory. For the second time, they're going to beat Black X 3-1. That's going to be a pretty clean victory for them. They're going to have to see if they can take that energy against the Rita gang, though.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a very difficult one. But for now, they should definitely be happy with how this turned out. That was a pretty clean set, all things considered. They played this really well.
Yeah.
I felt like Santi was not even the impression wasn't felt on the match, right? Like he was a Fang, but I didn't see him really use his super in opportune moments. Like he went in for the Frank, and like there isn't much you can do. And then he won't use the super once to get out of the way of the Frank, but kept the goal completely open for the enemy team. So there are lots of like small minor mistakes, but I felt fundamentally though they didn't have a chance when they had the draft, when they saw the draft. Like after the draft was done, we could have easily, identified that this was basically done.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Fang pick. Like I said, he has like a niche in some of the more like kill death based game modes, but he was using supers and stuns on the Frank, and like you can hit as many of those shots as you want. At the end of the day, you're not taking out 10k HP. The Frank's going to be able to delete you. So it was an interesting strategy. I do respect them thinking outside of the box, but at the end of the day, the drafts weren't there, and it was there for Drope Auto, so they're going to take a pretty clean victory right there. And we'll be getting into our next game in a second, guys, but us casters are going to take a quick break before that, so appreciate you guys for sticking to with us. We got 2 more games today, both involving Zarita Gang, who have yet to drop a set, so is somebody going to be able to knock them off their pedestal? Stay tuned to find out.
Nice. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Road to Brawl Cup SA. We are on the group stage. It is day number 2, and we are going to be moving on to our next match, which is going to be Drope Autos versus Zarita's Gang. Zarita's Gang won their last fixture against Drope Autos, and Drope Autos won their last fixture against Black X, who just concluded. So both these teams have a flawless record against their opponents right now, but unfortunately, we have to see which team is going to be the victor in this matchup here. I believe the first set is going to be on Gem Grab, Duncan.
Yep, and this is definitely going to be a moment for Drope Autos 2026 to try to make a name for themselves, because they got swept by Zarita's Gang earlier today, but they've pretty much taken care of business against Black X, so it seems like they've been able to beat anybody not named Zarita's Gang. now they've got a chance to get their revenge on Zarita Gang. So we'll see if they're able to bounce back. Zarita Gang's got to be a little bit in their head after the dominant performance that we saw earlier today, but that's the best thing about Brawl Stars. Anybody can take any game. So I'm excited to see what drafts we get. I'm excited to see what gameplay we get. And I'm excited to see if somebody can take a set off of ZG.
ZG, wow, okay. It's
we're making
ZG.
New acronyms.
We're not
here
in America right now. It's ZG, okay? Like you said, football, not soccer. It's ZG, okay?
I did do that though. You guys like how I adapted to that one?
I did. It was nice.
Appreciate it, man. Okay, yes. Okay, ZG, Zarita Gang, for everybody who wants to say the full name out here, which I'll probably stick to now that I've been called out. But we've got our most impressive team in the tournament so far has certainly been Zarita Gang. They have JXCR, or Jaxer, however you want to say it, I guess is fine, as well as Brian and Joe Fave. JXCR and Brian representing Chile, Joe Fave representing Peru. Dropeados have a representative from all three countries taking place in this tournament today: Peru, Argentina, and Chile.
Yeah, it's quite the ensemble here. It'll be interesting to see how this one works, because Dropeados are hot off their win against Black X, so they may be a little bit pumped here, but obviously they're going up against Zarita Gang, so it's not exactly the easiest opposition for them to go up against here. Yeah,
and they ended their last set against Black X with not only a trick shot, but also a clown pin. So clearly they got to be feeling themselves a little bit. I mean, if they're going to be DMing Black X, then they got to be prepared for the best that Zarita Gang is going to have to offer. So I'm curious if they'll be able to keep that swag, keep that energy moving into a set where they might be a little bit more outmatched skill-wise. So I'm excited to see this. I think it should be fun. You said we have Gem Grab for our first set, Panda. Is that correct?
Yes, I do believe that it is Gem Grab, yeah.
That should be a fun one then. I mean, we've already seen some pretty banger Gem Grab games. We haven't seen too many super dragged out resets at the end once we get into that countdown. So maybe we'll see a game where the gems exchange hands a little bit more freely. But either way, Gem Grab is a frustrating game mode to play, but it's a really fun game mode to watch.
Is going to be the map today right now. Blue team is going to get their pick now, but the first pick was Crow coming in from Zarita Gang, and they've also banned out the RT, the Kenji, the Ollie. We also have Ruffs, Mina, Rico, along with Pierce, Ems, Mortis, and the Spike being banned out. So wonder what Dropeados are going to take for their first pick here, Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, the Crow is definitely a tough brawler to draft into. He doesn't do a whole lot by himself, but there's not that much that fully counters a Crow straight up. So I like the pick coming out from them. The lack of the dog being available too is interesting to me, because that is typically the preferred wall breaker that teams use on this map, where the walls can be very annoying on your own side. So taking the refs out of the picture means that the map is probably going to stay a little bit up for at least a little bit longer. They could go with a Frank maybe. I think that is a pick that would be pretty impactful, and it's also one that Dropeados have proven that they enjoy to play, but they're going to opt for a Meeple instead.
I like the Meeple pick here. Like we've seen before in the past, the Mansions of Meeple really good. Oh, we also have a Mo. Mo has been pretty utilized pretty well in today, so I wouldn't be surprised to see if this is brought out specifically to counter out a tankier opposition coming in from Zarita's Gang, because we have to be cognizant of the fact that both Frank and Poco are technically open.
Yeah, but instead of that, we're going to see a Lily coming in, which is a pick that I'm not shocked to see get picked up in competitive gem grab. She's one of the best, if not the best brawler for resetting the gems at the end of the game. That hypercharged super can be pretty much a one-way ticket to stealing 10 gems, so I really like that pick. Although it's tough to hold control with Lily, you can make so many plays, make so many assassinations, so it's a pretty solid option, but I do think that the Mo addresses it decently well already for Dropeados.
Kaze coming out for Zarita Gang, and I like the Kaze pick. You are going to be able to see where people are with your fan. You can also jump in with your dash and get those kills in, so pretty decent pick all around. You have anti-heal, you have double assassin kind of situations going on. I think that Zarita Gang have all their bases covered with this.
It's an interesting draft. You don't see double assassin all that often, but either way, I mean, I think the first Kaze pick we're seeing today too. Definitely a really strong brawler, especially if played by a skilled player. I'm worried about that Frank though. I mean, we know Dropeados like their Frank. We know that they can play their Frank well. Likely Leo Messi going to be manning that brawler. I'm not certain if Kaze and Lily have the damage to be able to take this man out, and I guess
that's
time
what I was
tell.
thinking. Yeah, like I don't really see a universe in which they don't get pressured by Frank. Like even if they do address the Frank, do they have the ammo or wherewithal to take out both the Meeple and the Mo? And I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't know if we're going to go into game here. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to deal with that, Frank. I'm surprised that they give Dropiatos the brawler that they've clearly shown as one of their favorites, but I don't know. I guess I think it is going to come down to the Lily hypercharge at the end of the day. We'll see if Joe Fav is going to be able to stack up some of those Lily supers, get that hyper, and take some of the gems. He's going to start with definitely reckless abandon, though. He's going in immediately, but Leo Messi is there to clean up 1. He's there to clean up 2, and that's already showing that the Frank pick is looking clean.
Just the amount of pressure that the Frank can bring with his HPs is crazy here. There is that one fan, but miss from Leo Messi, I don't think it really matters all that much considering the opposition that they're facing aren't as good into some of the longer range options here. Benya does fall, and Joe Fave is going to pick up those gems and has a path forward in terms of getting out because he just needs to pop the green button here.
Yeah, I don't think he's got it in rotation quite yet, though, so he's going to end up getting caught out. Not really the worst for him. You don't want to have gems as an assassin because you want to have that freedom to go in and not really worry about dying too often, so I guess not the worst trade out in the world. We do have a 5-3 gem lead for the side of Zarita Gang. There's that Lily hyper taking the Frank into the realm, who also popped hyper, so definitely a good job by Joe Fave of wasting that utility, but he's not really going to be able to get away with a whole lot here. He does pop that gadget, though, so he's stalling as long as he can.
Yeah, they're playing this one really well. I mean, see, despite the fact that they don't get some of the gems in these possessions, that is okay. Brian going in, picking up 1 regardless. And the reason for that is that they create so much room and distraction, and none of the gems that they have picked up on the other side are gems that they originally picked up. So it's still a good trade for Zarita Gang because of the fact that they push back and create so much of pressure, allowing JFDR to pick up those gems.
Yeah, Joe Fave has just been doing an amazing job creating space here. He's popped his gadgets, taking up space, trying to get as many kills as he can. They do have the countdown, but the Meeple hyper is going to make this a tough one to take to the bank right here. We do see Chino has his super, but he gets taken to the Lily hypercharge realm. That is going to be probably a game sealing kill right there as JXCR takes to the skies. That was an incredible super from Joe Fave to keep that Mo off his teammates.
What gameplay coming in for Joe Fave. His read of the game is absolutely crazy. The way he's able to use the hypercharge, he used it twice to basically get insane value. Not only did he obviate the Frank super by using his own hypercharge by pulling him into the realm, he also was able to address Frank and then go for more. It's crazy. Yeah,
getting 2 hypercharges and connecting both of them on a brawler like Lily is typically going to mean that your team is winning the game. We already see Joe Fave getting back to nonsense as usual, getting straight into that bush. They have 2 people on Leo Messi, but I'm not sure if they got enough damage to take him out. Indeed, they don't. So pretty similar start with Dropeados getting off to a pretty solid start. They've got 2 gems, 3 gems on their side, and Leo's going to be breaking up the map now.
Yeah, I think that Zarita Gang are running on the fact that they know that they are more skilled than some of the opponents that they're facing. So they're just trying to go in and execute as much as they can just in terms of the gameplay alone.
Yeah, and that's going to be another super from Joe Fave coming in here. He's already got his first hyper. He's not even going to opt to use it yet. Brian's going to dash into walls a little bit, channeling his inner creature of the night right there. He's not going to be able to get the kill quite yet, but that fan is going to be in an incredibly annoying position for his opponents to deal with. Leo's going to try to clear out some room with the hyper.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good map for Meeple, in fact. So the fact that they're struggling is a little bit difficult here. Joe Fave coming out of that, and he does not get a kill, but there are enough poison daggers on Benya, which pushes them back all the way, though.
That was a lot of utility wasted from the side of Dropeados just to deal with one singular gadget right there. Joe Fave with another max range Lily super. This man is absolutely dialed in on this brawler today, guys. He is going to try to get out of here with these 5 gems. Unlikely to do so, so the gem countdown will not be permanent. Leo goes for a super, almost catches the crow out there too. Would have been a huge game changer. He does hit the pull though, and that's going to be a kill. Not able to get the super jump out there in time.
Oh my god, the kills have been confirmed. Oh my god, 450 to 253, 293 HP. They almost got the kill on a Dropeados, but that's not going to be the case. Dexter jumping in. He's able to get a kill on a Chino. Oh, he does. Benya, oh my god, Benya just narrowly surviving 182 HP to his name. Now, Joe Fave has a funny situation where he can reset, but he needs to know where to go, and he does not know, and I feel like that is going to be the end. No, 6 seconds on the map here. Brian going in, but they are able to defend. Joe Fave trying, but he's nowhere to be seen, and that's going to be Dropeados with a Herculean performance against Zarita Gang.
I can't believe they were able to get away with that at the end. I mean, Joe Fave was somehow in position to almost get a reset back there, even though he was 1v3ing in the spawn. I was pretty impressive that he got that close, but at the end of the day, that countdown should have definitely went into Dropados' favor. So I think they did deserve to get that win. It was a pretty back and forth game, though. We've got a pretty banger set on our hands here as we move into game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, 100% Zarita Gang knows how to play this composition, but it requires so much of execution that it's a difficult comp to pull off, considering the fact that they are facing off against a Frank. So they're doing good, all things considered, though.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice dash from Brian as well. He's going to tag up Leo Messi, who is going to stay alive at very weak HP. Joe is going to clean that kill up, though. He's going to try to full send it there, just trying to cycle as much super and hyper as possible, but that's going to be Benya with 4 gems to the 2 on the side of Zarita Gang to start us off.
And 100%, you're seeing way more hypercharges on this game because of the Frank existing. They're using Frank as a sponge to get the supers and the hypercharges in, and then they're making those insanely disgusting plays.
Yeah, that's definitely the type of gameplay that we're seeing here. Brian throws down the fan storm, but he's going to get tagged up, so a little bit too weak to push Benya any harder than this. We do see that Joe Fave has his Lily hypercharge, though, and he's been absolutely dialed hitting these at max range. The Frank hyper, he's not going to try to take Frank to the realm quite yet. He's going to let him get that super off and then go in to confirm the kill afterwards. Gadget's going to be popped too. Benya has to be quite careful.
Benya almost gets a kill on Ticino. Has pushed him back, and that's actually, in a way, sometimes more beneficial. There is going to be Leo Messi moving up as a sponge. I don't think he should have picked up those gems, though, in that situation. Joe Fave has a super, JXCR along with his hypercharge, and Brian as well. So they're in a really great spot. Fan coming down, the hyper fan, in fact, and Zarita Gang is in a very good position right now.
Yeah, definitely looking good for Zarita, especially with Brian dashing out of Leo's super, somehow not able to kill Benya. I would have assumed he would have got that kill, but all things considered, this is not as bad as it maybe should be for Dropados. They have 8 gems to 8 gems. Meeple Hyper, Mo Hyper, and Crow Hyper are all online for both of these 2 teams here. So a lot of utility waiting to be used at the end, but Joe gets that kill.
Hypercharge on the other side. Cheeto trying to go and find the kill over there. He's not able to do so. Creates room. Gets some gems. There is a kill from Joe Fave. No, but Cheeto cleaning that up, and now there is going to be a countdown for Zarita Gang, but there can be a reset for Dropados if one of the members are able to pick up a gem here, and they are trying their best to do so. Frank picks up the gem, but he goes in. Nice pull coming in. Hypercharge as well, but Joe Fave in the realm here, going in for Benya, and can he find the kill? He does find Benya. Hypercharge on the other side.
No way.
Messi.
No way.
It is absolute carnage for Zarita Gang on Dropados.
I mean, that is absolute cinema. Joe Fave absolutely deserved that kill at the end right there, man. He played an insane Lily in this set. The end of this game is definitely no exception. He's going to miss that one super. I think that might be the only super he missed in this entire set. Generational Lily gameplay to get that final reset. Insane work from Zarita Gang. Definitely a really back and forth game. Still not too certain about the double assassin strategy, but when you play Lily like that, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the scoreline and you'd be like, oh, 6-6, then that guy hasn't cooked, but he cooked the most. He cooked this. It was crazy how much he cooked. They had to do that despite the Frank on the map, and we know that they didn't have the damage output. So, like, considering the fact that their composition didn't exactly work for what they were up against, they played phenomenally well, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you there. It was certainly a tough draft. I feel like when that Frank 6th pick came in, I did like the comp that Dropados had a little bit more, but I know Zarita Gang is fantastic players, and that's kind of just what we saw. They just locked in mechanically, maybe a little bit of a skill diff if you want to call it that, but that was just insane performance there. It looks like the team communication was insane too, because every single time you saw Lily popping that gadget and going to the realm, she always respawned in a pretty valuable location, so that's got to be a good amount of team communication, directing the Lily to get into the right spot to make an impact.
Yeah, it was crazy that she was just, going in, vaporizing one person at a time, just taking them completely out. And knowing when to use the super was an important thing. Knowing when to use the hyper super was also important. So, for example, there's a situation where they waited for specifically the Frank's hyper super to land, or rather be cast, and then use their own hyper super as a Lily to take the Frank into the realm, not break up any of the walls, not do anything to the other teammates, and then take out the Frank along with position yourself for the next attack. So, like, it's not only about the attack that they're doing right now, it's also something for 10-15 seconds later, which is just, poetry in motion. Beautiful stuff.
It's very well explained, Panda. Zarita Gang was playing chess out there while Dropados might have been playing checkers, because they always knew the next step. They always knew the best place to get their assassins into to have the biggest impact. So very, very well played. The communication, the strategy from the team, just looking pretty flawless so far. Zarita Gang definitely had their first big scare, but They still remain 7-0 in sets throughout their 3 games that they've played today. I mean, they look pretty impossible to defeat, and that's definitely got to be pretty painful for Dropeados losing that when they probably had a little bit of a better outdraft.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is what I mentioned earlier on, that we live in a meta where obviously draft does dictate a lot of how many times you win. Like, the probability of you winning as a result of a good draft is much higher than it was in the past, but that doesn't necessarily equate to an actual win. An actual win comes down to actually understanding the game sense and your interpersonal communication with your team vis-a-vis the other team. So beautiful stuff coming in from the boys in Zarita Gang. They really innately understand Brawl Stars from a very high level. So I'm just impressed. I want to see how they perform, not only in this region, but I'm calling it early, but I feel like they're going to be a representative of this region in the Brawl Cup. That's just my opinion, but this is just a very early opinion.
Hard to bet against them so far. I mean, they've yet to drop a set, and I know they've only played against these other Group B teams, but they certainly look like the favorite to make it out of this tournament and secure that road to the Brawl Cup ticket. So I'm excited to see what they are going to be able to do once they do make it into the final groups, the final tournament stage. Should be pretty fun. They'll be up against the other 3 best teams in their region, so they'll probably have their work cut out for them a little bit more, but so far so good. If you're a fan of Zarita Gang, you have to be liking what you're seeing.
Yeah, and like some people might say that, you know, the reason Zarita Gang is winning is because they're not facing off against team at the same parity. And I mean, that might be true, but I'm talking about Zarita Gang from the perspective of how they're playing and all of these small micro decisions that they're making. Because of that, I feel like they're very clean. It's not that their gameplay would change against a better team. I mean, it might, but I feel like they are playing at a very clean fundamental perspective of the game that most analysts would agree is a very clean execution of it. I mean, I'm just talking out my head, but that's just what I feel.
Yeah, you haven't told a lie yet, Panda. And now we'll be moving into Brawl Ball for our next set, which is another game mode that you definitely benefit if you have superior team coordination, superior team synergy. You got to make sure you're defending at the right times. You got to make sure you're watching out for all your threats, and you got to be opportunistic when you do have a chance to secure a goal. So I feel like all of those factors do favor Zarita Gang so far. We've seen that their team plays are absolutely impeccable, as well as being able to go on solo missions and kind of carry like we saw Joe Fave doing in that game. So we've got our draft pulled up here, guys. It is going to be Super Beach for the map. Max, Meeple, Mina, Frank, Crow, and Kenji are going to be banned out with the Ruff's first pick, Panda.
I like this Ruff's first pick. It breaks up the map a little bit, so it makes Super Beach a little less viable for throwers. So I think this is to de-incentivize that and make sure that the game runs according to their game plan rather than the other teams.
Yes, and I do think that Willow is a pick that might be trying to be disincentivized with that Ruff's first pick, because we've seen Willow get a lot of value on these Brawl Ball maps. The only thrower that really has a goal scoring condition in the game, so I think that Willow is a fantastic pick, maybe even with the Ruff's being available, but you just have to know that as the further you get into this game, the less walls are going to be available, and the more likely the other teammates are going to be treated up.
That is certainly true. I mean, Ruff's does open you up to a lot of different ideas what you can do, but that also opens up the other team to different counter options. And we live in a meta which is dominated by a lot of tanks and healers, and Poco's coming out along with a Hank, which I feel like I'm a soothsayer. Guys, invest in stocks. You get money now, because I know how stocks work. I don't.
I am a little bit intrigued to see the Poco instead of the Globert. I guess people are already souring on Globert after we saw him get picked like 3 sets in a row and I think lose every single one. I guess people are going back to their roots, like, you know what, let's play the healer that we're comfortable with. So not the worst strategy from Dropeados. We've seen that they like their high HP, their tank healer, but the shade from Zarita Gang is definitely going to make that a little bit tougher. It does de-incentivize the Ruffs to break the walls, I will say.
You're gonna have Shade on the other side, so that is a little bit scary here, because obviously Shade, once you get those hypercharges, can be a big menace. But you mentioned about the wall break, and I also agree in a way, but I feel like you do have to break walls here. I don't know exactly why Zarita Gang are going for the Shade, but I think it has to do with the fact that they're just thinking long term about how they want to go about countering out different options from the other team. It's not about them winning, but it's about them covering their bases so they don't get caught out, because this is a very it's not an explosive composition to score, but it's a good composition to hold,
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean, we've seen the Shelly come out a couple of times today, pretty much exclusively after the tank comes out. So I feel like they are going to be more likely to break open the map. I mean, it's going to be tough to not break open the map with the Shelly and a Ruffs. So the Shade is going to be interesting. We'll see how much value he's able to get. The Tara pick coming out last for Dropeados, I feel like does address the Ruffs and the Shelly quite well. If they're able to get a Tara Hypercharge pull, that could definitely be the break that they need to get a goal.
This is gonna be an interesting one here. I do like the Terra pick. The gravity is gonna be interesting once you break open the walls a little bit more. It might be a little bit more viable for Dropeados. Like you mentioned, the Shade into all these wall breaks, not the best pick here from Zarita.
Yeah, we'll see if it's able to work out, but it seems like JXCR is already on his nonsense. He is fully pushed up already. Leo Messi should be able to keep him back with that fully charged bubble along with the help of his damage gear, but not too sure what we missed in the first 2 seconds of the game, but it seemed pretty impactful, Panda.
Dude, I just loved it. We talked all this smack and like within the first few seconds, we see that we're eating our words too, and now
hey, well, the map ain't broken yet.
JXCR going insane. He's still alive. He uses another super. He's just going ham. He finally gets popped like a
He got a little bit too excited trying to get multiple targets, ended up hitting 0 targets, but Leo Messi, is he going to be able to grab that? Barely able to stop that before it enters the goal. JoeFab keeping up the pressure, but it doesn't really seem like they're going to be able to score, even after a pretty fantastic start for Zarita Gang.
Yeah, that's crazy. Not only is Leo Messi a great striker, but we also see that he's Manuel Neuer on defense as well. He's able to hold that goal down. Hypercharge coming in from JoeFab. He uses it on the shadows, which is unfortunate here. Leo Messi gets the ball up. He's going to try to score here. Can he score? No! JXCR holds the line, gets the ball cleared, and goes in for Cheeto. Cheeto is the next on the chopping block. The heal is there, and I think that JXCR has it.
Yeah, JXCR, he was able to use that hypercharge damage to defeat Leo Messi and prevent the goal from happening, but if he gets onto the Poco, that's really free supercharge, really free hypercharge, and that's something that they really cannot afford to be giving up to him. Leo Messi is 40 HP right now, so this could be a goal coming in from JXCR. He does get the ball caught up, and now Cheeto actually might have a chance if he's able to escape up here with the ball. Does he have the angle? Almost. That would have been huge.
That was a funny clip. JXCR had the ball, but he walked right into the invincible wall, so he couldn't get that goal, and unfortunate for him. Now we see Zarita Gang trying to make something happen, and Leo Messi moving up. The walls have been broken up a little bit. Hypercharged, and that means Chino might be going down. He pops the hyper, doesn't get Leo Messi alive, but not able to do anything. JoeFab trying to do his best. He gets pulled up by the gravity, and Benya should be able to get... No, he gets juked, and the goal is there for Zarita Gang. 13 seconds on the clock. Dropeados. I don't think that they have a prayer.
I mean, they're going to have to try to force it through now, but Benya missed his pull. Leo's going to pop his hyper, not going to get a whole lot of value out of that. And with JoeFab on defense, that's going to be all she wrote for game number 1. That was a very back and forth game. There was a lot of waves of pressure coming out from each team, but I mean, at the end of the day, you just need to get one goal to secure the game right there. And we saw that one goal coming in. Very crazy Shade gameplay, even with the map being broken up. If he gets onto the Poco, it's just going to be a free hypercharge every time.
Sorry, I was a little distracted looking at some of the stats here. Oh, it's crazy. And Leo Messi going in very aggressively. This was won by Zarita Gang in game number 1. So another win here is going to push them into the next win. Ooh, JXCR almost flipped that, but managing to get this one in. Sometimes you get stuck on those walls and then you kind of, screw up, but he was able to finally get that one in.
Yeah, it can be tough to navigate when you have the ball and you're going through the walls as a Shade, but JXCR seems like he knows what he's doing to a pretty good extent. The heal's going to be coming in to keep the Dropeados roster alive, but somehow JXCR still alive behind enemy lines. Not going to be of much help to his team over here, though. Leo Messi might have a chance to actually get a goal.
But that's where you're wrong. JXCR respawning back at the right time for his team. Now JoeFab going in with the Hypercharge purple, but there he gets some value on Leo Messi. Opens up the map as well. Ooh, he tries, but he doesn't find it. And Brian trying to use a trick shot, not able to do so. No style points for Zarita.
Zarita trying to troll a little bit here, but they can't let their foot off the pedal too hard. It's going to be regrouping from Dropeados, trying to take a little bit of control back. JXCR popping Hypercharge. They're going to get a ton of damage, and he baited out the super from Benya too. So
oh my God.
Tara's far away from a pole. He's going to be very weak, and this might be enough to force it through if JoeFab gets a super soon.
JoeFab trying, he finds the super, not able to do so. What an insane defensive play coming from Dropeados. They are, their backs against the walls, and they're showing us things that we haven't seen before.
feel like they've been getting pressured so heavily this game, but whenever they seem that they're at their lowest, Leo Messi gets a Hank Super to keep them in it, and that's actually going to be enough for a counter push, and Dropeados are going to tie us up at 1-1. It seems like Zarita's getting a little too cute for their own good.
Yeah, if this isn't a baptism by fire, I don't know what is. Dropeados playing out of their mind right now, Zarita gang, trying their best. There is a ball being passed up. He's able to score it against Dropeados despite that.
That was an insane game. I mean, if Brawl Stars is a game of momentum, man, and we saw so many different waves of pressure coming in right there, but at the end of the day, it seems like Zarita just had the pressure more often than they didn't. It seems like Dropeados was on the back foot, and because of that, I mean, look at these KD counts. Like, it didn't seem to matter. They just kept up pressure. Zarita gang kept running them down, kept dying, but they maintained map control, and that was enough for them to win the game.
Just look at the amount of healing that Poco did. Obviously, Poco is supposed to heal, but the quantum of healing shows how much of damage was being output by the Zarita gang squad, and it completely shows how dominant this team is. They don't have a great composition by any means, but like I mentioned, this composition is all about defense, right? It's not about creating opportunities for scoring as much as it is about stymieing the aggression. The fact that they were able to be on the opponent's side of the half of the match for the majority of the game was crazy to me.
Yeah, just looking at these stats here too, I really did not see a great condition for the Tara coming out last, and the gameplay kind of matched my fears about that. We see 0 kills, 3 deaths, and by far the least damage on the map, so the Taurus felt like it could have been a decent counter pick into the Shelly, but at the end of the day, Zarita gang did a better job of getting their matchup situated. We saw a couple of clutch Tara pull misses that definitely were pretty impactful for Dropeados dropping that game.
I have to say that if you don't know how to play Shade, watch this entirety of the set through and through to understand when to go in, when to come out, when to, jump into the points where you can't really follow the Shade on the map when he goes out of bounds. So those are such important things, but his instinct of when to go in and out is amazing.
Yeah, no, that was textbook Shade gameplay. Something else that we forgot to account for too when we were talking about the map being broken, maybe hampering the Shade, is that in Brawl Ball you do have that like area to the side of the goals that you're able to use no matter what. So even if it's a little bit of a smaller map, even if there's not that many walls available, if you have the pressure and you have them stuck in their goal, you're pretty much able to get free hits off with that. So that is definitely something I overlooked that JXCR certainly didn't. Took so much advantage of that mechanic.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are so many moments where it's very difficult as a Shade when you're going up against those specific brawlers in a map which has broken up a little bit more than you want, because usually Shade hides behind the wall and hits those shots, right? But when you don't have the walls, you have to be insane at dodging and knowing when to move. And with all of those walls broken, I gotta say, like, that compounds the execution that you have to do with the Shade. And this guy was crazy, man. He was crazy.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things that have impressed me a lot from Zarita gang. We saw Joe Fab's Lily performance, then we saw JXCR Shade performance. I mean, it seems like a very highly skilled team that has multiple different members that are capable of popping off. That's the type of balance that you want if you're going to make a real run at this World Finals here. So I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing from Zarita gang. We are going to be moving into our third set here, potentially our final set, if Zarita gang is able to take the W, and it's going to be on Bounty, Panda.
Oh yeah, it is on Bounty. On Bounty, we have Shooting Star. We have, Layer
Cake.
That's the one.
Yeah. Is it Hideout or Dry Season?
Hideout. No,
Hideout. Okay.
Hideout. Yeah. Is it Layer Cake? Yeah, it is Layer Cake, right?
I think we saw Layer Cake. Yeah, which is I might just want to point out right here, fantastic Shade map. So I would love to see JXCR get his another Shade game under the belt here. Layer Cake's a fantastic map for him.
I was thinking Dry Season for some reason.
Yeah, no, Dry Season, it's not the best Shade map, but you could maybe make it work. But
no. I thought Dry Season was in the pool of maps.
Gotcha. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what draft we're gonna have for Bounty. We saw Shooting Star last time, so hopefully we'll be able to get one of those more closed off Bounty maps and get a little bit more diversity with the picks here. But we'll have to wait and see.
Just looking forward to seeing how this one plays out, because every time I'm seeing Zarita gang play, I'm liking what they're going for, right? But it's not just that. It's like Dropeados are not relenting. They're going up against oppositions which they rightfully shouldn't have, and in reality they shouldn't have a chance against them. But the way that they're playing is also still pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're relenting. They're trying their best. They're trying out different compositions. You do see some signs of life. So I feel like if they shape up their gameplay, clean it up a little bit, they'll come back as massive contenders in like future tournaments. And I gotta say, like, this is definitely a very difficult game to play, but once you play against people at this level and you're able to hold your own, even if you're not able to win, if you're able to hold your own for the majority of the game, you start getting better because you start anticipating and you start getting used to that pressure. So this is going to give them so much more benefit than they actually realize.
I completely agree. And something else I want to point out is that they've drafted very well in their matchup against the Rita Gang. I feel like the skill issue has maybe come into play a couple of times, but like realistically, they've had some drafts that they potentially should have won where they just ended up having a couple of micro plays, not even necessarily mistakes on their part, but just outplays on the side of Zarita Gang that have swung the sets in their favor. But they haven't gotten like fully outdrafted. So that proves that they've got good heads on their shoulders. They know what they're doing, and it's just been a little bit of a tough day for them as far as their matchup against the Rita Gang specifically goes.
That's true. And I believe the next set is Bounty, like I mentioned. So I'm going to see how this one plays out. Are they going to go for more longer range options? How is Zarita Gang going to draft this one? I'm very interested in seeing this because like they've had different ideas and different strategies as they've gone through everything. So it's just as a student of the game. No, I'm not a student of the game, but as a student of the game, I want to see.
Yeah, Zarita Gang's in a good position to test out some drafts that they maybe aren't as confident in now that they've got their now that they've got their spot in the finals secured. They're probably a little bit more willing to go with some drafts that they don't really go with as often. They can kind of treat this more like scrims rather than a tournament now that they've secured that top spot in Group B. So I feel like they might bring us a fun draft right here. I mean, they have no incentive to just go with the same old that they know works. I mean, they have really nothing to lose from losing the set, so I'm excited to see if they bring out something fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to see how how spicy they can get with different compositions, because there are compositions that you can take which are just pure synergy, right? And it might not be great specifically, but it works. So I'm interested in seeing that. But honestly, this the level of gameplay that we're seeing from Zarita Gang compared to some of the other teams is kind of mind-boggling, and they are definitely like a favorite of mine going into the double elimination phase. But I want to see what the other groups have to offer, because this is why I like tournaments in like other regions, and I like third-party tournaments and all of that, because you get to see gems which you otherwise wouldn't have seen. Like, for example, if you look at Match Arena last year or the year before that, we got Guesty and like we got the guys in Electros, right? If there wasn't the Match Arena scene, one is we wouldn't see them play it, and the second thing is that we might not even have ever known of them because they never had the chance to showcase their skills, and we'd only go with like, you know, the esports content creators that everybody knows, and that would be what we get all the time. Now we see a little bit more anarchy because of the fact that teams are able to, or players are able to, you know, showcase their skills and get picked up by teams and all that. So
yeah, no, definitely a big opportunity, and getting this many eyeballs in front of you is definitely massive for some of these younger players as well, who might be looking to get signed to some of the bigger esports orgs that do work down there in Latin America, South America. So it's been pretty fun to watch so far. We've definitely seen some players that I'll be keeping my eye on as we move forward into the next couple of esports seasons. Certainly on Zarita Gang, but also on some of the other teams. I've seen some players that have impressed me, but we've got our third set pulled up here between Dropeados and Zarita Gang. Our bans are going to be Jean, Kaze, Mina, Belle, RT, and Charlie.
First pick going to be the Byron coming in from Zarita Gang. I like Byron a lot. This is one of my favorite brawlers, and it might just be because of the voice, and the voice actor reminds me of somebody. Anyway, forget it. Byron first pick. I don't think you can go wrong with Byron on Hideout. I don't know if he's the best early pick on this map, though. What do you think?
He's a risky early pick because he can get diffed by other snipers. I do see Nani is still available, Piper is still available. So those are two brawlers that can definitely catch Byron lacking. Brock is another one that comes to mind. But the one thing that Byron does have is better synergy with tankier options. And on a map like Hideout, if there's no wall break, you can definitely take advantage of some of that. So curious if the Brock is going to get picked up to maybe pre-counter out that strategy and try to break up the map. I think that could be something Dropeados goes with, but it's going to be a Nani instead first.
You need to call out the Nani as being an option specifically to take out that Byron on the other side. Pierce being out of contention is also another thing to think about. We don't have the we don't have the Belle, we don't have the Charlie. So Mandy could come out, but Dropeados opting for a Jay Young instead. Zarita Gang have the next two picks. They could go for a little bit tankier options, or maybe they could go for an assassin of some sort. I wouldn't be surprised to see them going for an assassin, honestly.
I certainly wouldn't hate that either. I mean, you got the heals coming in from the Byron already. When you go in, the Byron can splash to both heal you and damage your opponent. So that could be a pretty good synergy right there. I don't mind the Jae pick. I feel like Jae has certainly fallen off in the meta pretty consistently since he was released into the game. But the one thing he has to offer is that speed boost for getting to the blue star. And obviously having the lead in bounty is so impactful, forcing the other team to push into you. So I think that the Jae is going to be there to grab that blue star just to give a little bit of extra speed and heals when needed. I think it's a pretty versatile pick that could work out.
Yeah, the adaptability of Jae is one of the reasons why it is brought out in draft, because it's pliable to different strategies. And Zarita Gang going for the Glowbird. So I want to see how Glowbird is being played by Zarita Gang, because we haven't seen it being played to its absolute potential, right? So far. And it has lost every single match so far. It might have been a case of either Glowbird not being good enough or the synergistic attributes not being brought out well enough. Anyway, Ollie is going to be brought out and Frank on the other side. I like the Frank along with Jae, but what do you think about Zarita's composition here?
I kind of thought that they might get a little bit goofy with the drafts now that they've got their #1 spot in Group B secured, and I definitely clocked them because I don't really know what they're cooking with this. I mean, double healer Ollie is certainly questionable. Last time we saw double healer Ollie, it got fully countered out by the Poco. I'm a little surprised Poco wasn't picked up by Dropeados just to make sure the Ollie was useless, but Frank should work out too. With the Jae, it's going to be a nice synergy. I'm going to be expecting Dropeados to get this blue star, and then it's going to be all on Zarita Gang to push into him.
They get that speed at the start here, like you say, off rip. Anyway, JXC are getting that tag off on Leo Messi. That's actually a pretty huge tag here, and you know he can just keep annoying people one after the other, and it doesn't even matter. That's exactly what they're doing. Oh my God, Glowbird is kind of broken.
Yeah, they are doing a really good job pushing up as a team right now. Already Dropeados is on low HP. Something to take into account is that Frank probably has the anti-stun gadget to be able to counter out the Ollie, so I'm expecting that to be important. I actually think I just saw the pull gadget, so maybe I'm wrong about that. Indeed, I am. He is not going to be going with the build to counter out the Ollie, and he might end up suffering for it, but instead his entire team is, and he's going to be fine.
Oh, that missed super on Frank here. I feel like it was a little bit expected, so maybe he should have held on to that super a little bit. He has created a lot of room, though, and you know, I feel like that room would have been respected for a lot more time. Hypercharge coming in on a Benya, but misses actually.
Yep, and now we see JoeFab does have that super online with the Glowbird assistance. Could definitely be what they need to get a good pick off here. He's going to be dashing in and going for Benya here, and with all three teammates, that's going to be a lot of damage. Brian opts to not splash the guy right next to him, instead getting greedy and going for his teammates. It does end up working out, but that was almost a little bit risky leaving the Frank alive.
It's a little bit dangerous here. Hypercharge is available on Frank. He has a super as well. Brian has a super, which he is using, but he does get pulled. Oh no, that is terrible. 30 seconds left, though. It's still possible for Zarita Gang to move up here. Super being put in by Jose. Oh my God, Joe Fade gets killed there along with the kill on a Leo Messi. Complete team wipe from Zarita Gang.
That was a crazy combination. We had Joe hypnotizing the enemies to make them walk into the Glowbird Fear, and then it just did so much more damage, pushed them away. That was a beautiful combination. Again, the Glowbird Fear going to be stalling their opponents. Dropeados has a couple of seconds to try to get this lead back, but they're down by about 8 stars. It's going to be too much to overcome, and that is going to be game 1 going to Zarita Gang, who is 1 game away from going 9-0 throughout 3 matches.
That was very well played by Zarita Gang. Now I can see the vision of Glowbird, the way that they all coalesced together and came together as a team and make those team plays was kind of crazy. There was that situation where we thought that, you know, even if the Ollie gets hypercharged, the Frank is not going to die, but it died, and it died in a massive way, which led to the entirety of the team falling apart.
Yeah, they did a really good job pairing the Ollie supers with the Glowbird supers, in my opinion. I feel like that was the difference for some of those big plays they were able to make. So we'll see if they're able to do it again. But so far, so good for Zarita Gang. They're going to get a couple of kills off rip, be up by 4 stars already. And it seems like just nothing can really slow them down unless Dropeados pulls out some crazy new strats.
It seems like an unstoppable force against a very movable object right now for Zarita Gang and Dropeados. They go for that Nani super. They find the connection, but like again, Nani against such a healer composition, I don't think you're going to find any value at all.
Yeah, you have to be so consistent with those shots. The Nani head doesn't really do anything either. We're going to see the Ollie super going to definitely get Benya very weak, if not dead here. Leo Messi is going to be up a little too high as well. Almost no way he gets out of this. And just like that, it's going to be an 8-star league for Zarita Gang. I mean, it's going to be tough for them to get this lead back, but they're going to have to kill JoeFab if they're going to plan to.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like Byron is still very much an attacker in this situation, in this composition, but provides just a little bit healing whenever Jofabe required, just to keep him alive a little bit. Globert is completely on Jofabe duty the entire time, and beautiful stuff coming in from this team.
Yeah, it's working out fantastically well. I'm not really sure what JXCR is doing up here by himself, but it seems like he's got everything under control with the use of that dash gadget to retreat to his teammates. Either way, it's a 12-star lead. Jofabe once more. He's going to go in with the Hyper. That's 2 of them. Oh. He cycles Hyper. He gets another 2 of them. He's already on 7 stars, and he still wants more. This is going to be a decisive victory for Zarita Gang, and they just looked like by far the best team here. Not a single set dropped is insane work, Panda.
That was just beautiful to watch. I'm just flabbergasted by how well they played. Kudos to Zarita Gang, and they qualify for the knockout stages in the double elimination tournament, which is going to be happening in a few days in the next stage. But that was crazy. What beautiful Glober gameplay, and the synergy with the Ollie is crazy. You have the Ollie with the Hypnotize, like you mentioned, going into the scare. And, you know, Frank is supposed to be stunning people, but by the time he's out of that, he's again like hypnotized by Ollie, either by the super or another gadget. So, like, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, something he could have maybe done is go with the anti-stun gadget. I think that might have worked out a little bit better, but at the end of the day, whether or not it was on purpose or not, it probably still wouldn't have been enough. I mean, Zarita Gang just played so incredibly well today. A very well-deserved ticket into our playoffs here, guys. As you can see, 4-0, not a single set dropped. Also, guys, just for your information, Black X has conceded the final match of the day to Zarita Gang. So that was our final matchup. We have Zarita Gang with 4 victories. Dropeados beating Black X in both and losing to Zarita Gang in both. So here's going to be our Group B representative. Congratulations, Zarita Gang.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from Zarita Gang. They just performed at levels I didn't expect them to perform at. I knew they were good, but I didn't realize how good that they are because I've never personally casted them. So this was, I guess it was a privilege, honestly, to watch that.
Yeah. Absolutely agree with you on that. And they're going to be joining Un Sueño Incompleto from Group A in our Final Four, guys. Again, the winner of each of these stages for the group stage is going to move on to a 4-team double elimination tournament, the winner of which will be moving on to Brawl Cup in Berlin in May. So lots to play for. Got some money for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place teams. So Zarita Gang has secured at least $1,000 for their team already, and they're going to be looking for that Brawl Cup ticket come Saturday.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And tomorrow we are going to have Group C, which has Inosis Esports, Ice Frio Hielo, Las Plate. I'm sorry, I'm butchering. But we have these 3 teams participating tomorrow at the same place at the same time. We're both on my channel and Delkun's channel as always, so we'll see you there.
Thanks for having us, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you tomorrow.